Good evening. My name is Joan Suarez. I'm the director of Bread and Roses, Missouri, and I want to welcome you tonight to a reading of Mrs. Palmer's Honey, an adaptation of a novel by Fannie Cook, who won an NAACP Literary Award way back in the 1940s. She was way ahead of her time. We're really pleased tonight to be able to have this preview of sorts, this reading, first time out for Mrs. Palmer's Honey on Zoom and on YouTube for you to enjoy. I want to give some thanks to those organizations that have helped to support us in doing this project. The Missouri Humanities Council, the Callup Foundation, and now without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our artistic director, Cassandra Medley. Kathy, take it away.
Thank you, Joan. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is an experiment of sorts. Usually first readings of plays are done in a very private setting, in a rehearsal hall, with just the actors, the director, and the playwright, and maybe a few audience members to give feedback. But we are really fortunate that we have commissioned a playwright to work with us who is like, hey, you know, we're in a different time. Why don't we just go on and try this and just let the whole world see this reading? So you're getting a special treat tonight. It's like you're in our rehearsal hall. I have a group of phenomenally talented actors who have agreed to read this play. And really the first reading is a chance for the writer to get to hear her words so she can decide what she likes, what she doesn't like, what dialogue works, what doesn't work. So you all are getting a chance to be in a very special place with us tonight. Know that the actors just received the script. We've read it once. They're still finding things, and it should be interesting and fun to see what they find tonight. And after the reading, we will be joined by Cassandra Medley, who will be with us to answer some questions. So if you have questions, you can post them on YouTube, and we'd love to answer those. So thank you all very much, and we appreciate you being here with us as part of this experiment. As the director of this piece, I will try not to stop them, but no, if we were doing a reading, I may or may not stop them. But tonight we're gonna stumble our way through and find the life and the words to this play. I'd like to now present to you Mr. Barry Moten, who will be reading the stage directions. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Good evening. Our ensemble tonight includes Jacqueline Thompson as Honey, Hassie Davis as Big Mama, Vanika Spencer as Carmen, Essence Tyler as Eulatha, Jason Little as Clyde, Greg Finner as Ben, Joel King as Bobo, Carl Overly Jr. as Emery, Colin McLaughlin as Mr. Palmer, Ryan Lawson Maskey as Mr. Dupree, Summer Bayer as Dorothy, Delaney Piggins as Mrs. Palmer, and I am your stage manager, and I'll be reading the directions. Direction is under Catherine Bentley. Mrs. Palmer's Honey by Cassandra Medley. Act 1, time, 1943 through 44. Place, St. Louis, Missouri. Setting, various homes, public places, factories of Greater St. Louis. Except for Honey, the chorus members play a variety of characters. Staging should be fluid and minimum. Basic modulars become furnishings, etc. A prop table can serve in full view of the audience as the actors exchange props and simple articles of clothing. Prologue, fade up. Honey stands in a spotlight. She addresses the audience.
My for real name is Honey. Honey who? Mama was just 15 when she had me, just a kid. And I guess, well, she thought it was a cute name. She thought it was sweet or something. I've been carrying it all through life. And my last name who? My papa never knew his daddy and has no idea how we got it. But we all wear our family name proud. We hoops.
She offers a handshake to the audience.
Glad to meet you. I'm Honey Who.
Lights up on the entire cast on stage. The chorus, 4 Black actresses, 2 white actresses, 2 white actors, 4 Black actors. To the audience.
Downtown St. Louis, Missouri, summer 1943. I'm out on North Grand Boulevard doing errands for Miss Palmer, hoping to bypass certain streets, but no such luck.
Chorus becomes a circle of respectfully marching protesters. Some wave many American flags.
We're Americans too.
We're Americans too.
Fight the
Fight the
Nazis, not the
Nazis.
Negroes.
Fight the Nazis, not the Negroes.
Sister. Hey, sister.
Honey quickly approaches Clyde. The protesters continue marching in a circle, waving their arms and repeating their slogans.
What you doing downtown here?
What you doing downtown? Come on, join the march.
Man, you crazy. I'm working running errands for Mrs. Palmer. She's expecting me back. Mama know you out here.
I told her, not hiding nothing. Standing up for my rights and standing up for your rights and every Negro's right.
Brother, please don't get caught up in all this mess.
We deserve to be given a chance to work in the defense plants.
What if it turns out to be a riot, huh? What if you get arrested? Police already beat you up and threw you in jail once.
I was innocent.
What that matter? Please go back home.
We're Americans too.
We're Americans too.
Fight the Nazis, not the Negroes.
Fight the Nazis, not the Negroes.
Honey, join me in this fight. Fight with me.
Clyde, listen, if they don't want us in plants, they don't want us.
Hell with what they want.
You're doing it right at the warehouse. You're doing all right.
Want to do much more than all right.
You help keep our family, food and shelter and whatnot. We got ourselves out of the depression, didn't we?
Sister, we barely scraped by. Who you kidding?
Oh Lord, here come the police.
Let them come. See, they just watching. We being peaceful. And let all these white folks on the sidewalk watch.
Lord of mercy, who knows which one of these whites out here be friends of Miss Palmer and report back to her that they didn't see me.
Is that what you care about?
I care about you staying safe and all the rest of my family staying safe.
First, Uncle Sam called me up on the drive, but then tells me my lungs be too weak to march in battle. Well, they ain't too weak to yell and protest here on Grand Boulevard. I was willing to give my life to fight the Nazis, to join the state segregated army, and maybe die a segregated death.
Back here on the home front, everybody's doing whatever they can in their way to help out.
That what you tell yourself?
Clyde, let it rest, please.
At least I can fight for the right to make firepower in the defense plants. It's way, way much better wages. They need us Negroes so that this war can be over soon.
These here whites don't want us working alongside them. They keep saying it over and over.
Fight the Nazis. Don't fight us. We've got a right to work on the plants. We've got a right to work on the plants.
All we demanding is to be included in the fight, to help the Allies fight. We patriotic Americans. What's the crime?
Some white folks saying we hurting the war effort.
Girl, what's wrong with you?
Just a couple of months back, you had stitches all up and down your back. You was beat up so bad. Don't you recollect that?
Clyde takes Honey's hand.
If I gotta be beat up again, okay then. We demand a chance at the same jobs that the whites got.
Honey hurries away.
Hire us too.
Lights up on the Palmer house. Marchers become a chorus, observing the action. Honey pins on her maid's cap and ties on her apron. To the audience.
In 15 minutes, I'm back at the Palmers, where everything is, well, the way it always is, no surprises.
Mrs. Palmer enters. Honey offers her usual smile, grabs a feather duster, and mimes dusting unseen objects.
Got the lavender with your coupons, Miss Palmer, and the silk ribbons. Thought we could use extra packet. And didn't use up my ration card neither.
You always come through, honey. Always, always come through. You know, they're saying on the radio that there's some kind of Negro march downtown.
Didn't go past them streets myself.
Good. What's your take on this defense plant business?
Miss Palmer got enough on my mind just seeing to and caring for my family.
Dorothy Jane runs in from the chorus.
It's impossible.
Darling, your father's in a conference in his study. You must get off the phone.
Oh, honey, we've broken up.
You and Mr. Jim.
Mother, he's being impossible. Honey, he won't listen to me. Honey, now Jim's been drafted. What should I do?
You gonna have to let me ponder that one.
Are you thinking of Jim or of yourself? You never help me with the care packages for your brother. Think of him flying combat missions over there and still no letter from him? Still?
That's not so unusual, ma'am. Remember the last time his letter came? Full of jokes about his time off base.
He's flying combat missions, honey.
Yes, ma'am.
What about your brother? Clyde, is it?
4F, his lungs.
Back here on the home front, everybody's doing what they can in their own way to help out.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and honey, could you find my pink lace hat, please?
It's on the left-hand shelf. I'll get it, Miss Palmer.
Mrs. Palmer exits back into the chorus. Mabel comes forward, also dressed as a maid. Honey and Mabel mime carrying heavy baskets of clothes. They mime standing on either side of a backyard fence. They mime shaking out the wet clothes from their invisible clothes baskets and hanging them on invisible clotheslines.
Girl, how you doing this morning?
Girl, Miss Missy started in on me as soon as I got in at 7 a.m.
Oh, and Mabel, my dinner party didn't end until 10:30 last night. I rang the bell and you were nowhere to be found.
My hours are from 7:30 a.m. to 10 o'clock p.m., ma'am.
I rang for water and was so embarrassed. You must never sneak off like that again.
And you?
Oh, you know Mrs. Palmer.
Honey, can you find my grandmother's brooch that goes to wear with this outfit? Bridge party must look my best.
Here it is, Miss Palmer.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and my suede gloves?
Here they go, Miss Palmer.
Oh, thank you.
Each and every day, Miss Palmer gets more and more helpless. I might laugh with Mabel, but Miss Palmer pays for the food that feeds my mama and the rest of my family. But Mabel, at least she's a nice lady and treats me right as white ladies go, and Mr. Palmer is a friend of the Negro in this town. Best friend we Negroes got.
Mr. Dupree and Mr. Palmer step out of the chorus line.
Marching in the streets. In the middle of wartime, we got Negroes marching in the streets.
Mr. Palmer picks up the telephone, speaking into the receiver.
Dorothy Jane, I need to use the phone, please. She's always breaking up with somebody. Gus, look, at least the Negroes called off the March on Washington.
So now they decide to march in St. Louis? All right. We'll give these Negro hotheads enough to keep them quiet, hire on just a few, and for goodness sake, keep the workers segregated.
But the federal orders.
Hell with the federal orders. What does Roosevelt understand about what we face here in our city?
Gus, it seems to me that we can just explain to our white workers that we're all working together in the war effort, white and black.
People don't want to do it.
We've got to increase our weapons quota. Our boys can't fight Hitler and the Japanese with sticks and stones.
People aren't used to working alongside Negroes and never will be. Just like in the army, for God's sakes. White men don't want to fight alongside Negroes and they never will.
But federal orders are federal orders.
Palmer makes a call on the phone as he and Dupree fade back into the chorus.
Girl, you listening behind closed doors?
Don't you?
Don't every self-respecting maid?
Jean rushes in from the chorus.
Hey, y'all. You ain't never gonna guess what happened.
What?
I done got me a job over at the Ammo Army plant.
Say what?
Girl, they asking more Negro women and 4F men to come sign up for work.
No.
You heard me. Negro women and 4F men. They got it because they got to meet their weapons quotas. And besides, Roosevelt ordered them to. There would be no reason for them not to.
You mean St. Louis white women gonna be working next to colored women?
Like it or not. So now for me, no more scrubbing they dirty floors, washing they dirty drawers, sweating over they cooked food, and then serving they food. And in my case, no more keeping Mr. Patterson's hands off my backside.
Girl, that's the best part of it.
Now, I got me a job in the defense plant, better hours, better pay. Y'all better hurry on over.
Honey and Mabel rush back to the chorus with Jean. Chorus steps into factory jumpers and becomes a pantomime rhythmic assembly line. However, this time, the white male and female actors are visibly and obviously separated by a few feet from the black male actors. Honey faces Mrs. Palmer.
But of course, I understand you wanting to make the wages they pay at the factory. But honey, you're a member of our family.
What's all this about, Lillian?
Honey wants to leave us.
Like you say all the time, just doing my part for the war, ma'am.
As you should. She's got to go, Lillian.
I'm not stopping her, Andrew. I'm just as patriotic as you are.
Now, dearest one, we're all in the good fight. Proud to know you'll be making the weapons that our men over there, my Andrew Jr., and all the rest, urgently need.
Of course, I'm proud of her.
The Palmers return to the chorus. The Palmers return to the chorus. Honey and Mabel remove their maids' caps and aprons and step into defense plant jumpers. Lights up on the defense factory.
Stamping steel.
Punching cylinders into bullets.
30 caliber.
50 caliber.
Keep the conveyors going.
Doing our part for the Allies.
Stamping.
Punching.
Loading.
Doing our part.
Doing our part.
Honey, Mabel, and Jean step forward, and a female supervisor hands them a bucket and a mop.
Wait a minute. We still maids. Only this time it's in the defense plan.
Well, at least the pay's way better, and the hours regular, and nobody's looking over my shoulder or pinching my behind.
Hey, what's this? Y'all want a coffee hour, do it on your own time. This floor needs to be super shiny for Uncle Sam. Get back to work.
Thought we were supposed to be working on the assembly line.
Long as I'm supervisor on this shift, most of y'all can stay in the cafeteria where y'all belong.
And so it was, day after day after day. Then a couple months later.
World news today, brought to you by the Central Broadcasting Company. Allies continue to corner the Nazis in Tunisia, North Africa. Meanwhile, here in our fair city, Mr. Andrew Palmer is set to receive our 1943 St. Louis Citizen of the Year Award. Presentations will be this evening in the Civic Center Auditorium. A sellout crowd is expected for our beloved, dedicated civic leader, Andrew Palmer.
That was morning for work. The morning that the phone rang. Waking my family up. Of course, I didn't know it at the time. How could I? That morning was the beginning of what was to become the rest of my life.
Act up on Big Mama's house and Mr. Palmer's study. Chorus begins setting up the bare minimum furniture that will constitute Big Mama's house. Honey and the other 3 black actresses zip out of their overalls and put on bathrobes. 2 actresses become Honey's sisters, Ulatha and Carmen. 1 actress becomes Big Mama. Mr. Palmer steps forward.
My fellow citizens of our beloved city, it is with honor and gratitude that I accept this 1943 Citizenship Award.
He paces back and forth with a piece of paper in his hand. Actress steps forward as Mrs. Palmer, picks up the phone and dials Big Mama's house.
Now what? What to say? How to say it? In this time of warfare, we are called upon to unite as one complete American Union dedicated to defeating Germany and the Japanese.
Ringing of a telephone. Ulatha rushes out to grab the phone.
Hello?
Mrs. Palmer for Honey, please.
Hold on. Honey, it's for you.
Honey appears having just woken up.
It's Miss Palmer. Tell that woman you already got a job and with holidays.
Mrs. Palmer? We were all real proud of Mr. Palmer receiving the First Citizen Award. We're planning on being there at the auditorium tonight.
Oh, my dear Mr. Palmer, you know he is, honey, the dear man, but now he's gone and invited all these people to dinner to celebrate without checking with me first. It's like he's forgot that you're not even working here anymore. And with the ration points, I could only get a small turkey, and what else to serve it with? And Dorothy's broken up with her fiance.
Broke up with what's his name?
And she's got to have another beau, and she's gone and she's invited him to dinner too, plus Andrew Jr. fighting those Nazis in North Africa, and not a letter or anything from him in 2 months.
Mr. Jr. must be doing plenty of fighting and just can't write.
And I'm just at my wit's end. My migraine started up.
Miss Palmer thought you had a new girl.
Oh, and that girl didn't know a stew pot from a fry pan and didn't wax the floors when I told her. I had to let her go. Anyways, she's probably overworking in defense. Honey, please, you've just got to come and save my life.
What time you want me to come and save it?
Just as soon as humanly possible.
I'll make tracks.
I'll make tracks.
Enter Mama and Carmen. Mama is limping.
Ooh, my arthritis sure enough talking to me this morning.
Miss Palmer want Honey to take off from the factory today and come cook and serve her guests dinner tonight.
Say what?
Ain't studying you, girl.
What's all that phone ringing racket? What's the emergency?
Honey's running over lickety-split to Miss Palmer's.
Honey starts to change clothes into a simple yet very attractive dress.
You supposed to be the reasonable one in the family and turning out to be a fool.
Girl, you done cooked 12 years for them Palmers, and now you taking a day off from the plant so that you could go back and cook for them some more?
That's cause our honey be only one who can handle Miss Palmer's white guests. And Miss Palmer knows that. And so does Mr. Palmer. Honey be the bestest child I got.
Big Mama, you got 10 kids. How come you always singling her out?
How was your date last night, hon?
Oh, last night at the dance, you should have seen her and Bobo.
Girl, hush your mouth.
Honey was sweating all over that man.
It's not.
Bobo steps out from the chorus.
Got to admit, that Bobo is sure a man to sweat about, all right. But child, Bobo ain't nothing but trouble.
Honey continues to dress, putting on earrings, checking her hair in a hand mirror.
Don't I know it?
Girl, I say, go for the guy who, when he comes up on you, it makes your toes curl under.
Uh-huh. And that's how come you got two kids laying up in that back bedroom right now while you still living off Big Mama. Meanwhile, your man done take his feet elsewhere.
Now, on the other hand, there's that sweet and steady and church-going Ben Boston.
Ben Boston is dull, dull, dull.
You two get on in the kitchen and start breakfast for your brothers and sisters and for your own kids. Somebody fix me my coffee.
Honey, all that pretty you got is just wasted on you.
Carmen and Ulatha start setting the table, setting bowls in place for breakfast. Honey is putting on her hat and gloves. The other women mime stirring mixtures in bowls.
Honey, you gonna call in sick at the plant so you can do maid service for that white woman?
My maid service helped to keep you in nylons and nail polish before the war, and you ain't never complained then. And my dimes and dollars from Mrs. Palmer's kitchen got you through teachers college. Don't forget.
Amen. Plus, Miss Palmer helped to loan us money in the Depression.
Loan that Miss P took off of Honey's weekly pay, $1 a week.
That's what a loan is. You pay it back.
Plus, Miss P helped with Clyde when the police beat him up and threw him in jail. Don't forget.
What time brother get in from the plant last night, Ma?
When Bobo dropped you off, he hung around and waited for Clyde.
How do you know?
Cause she always got her wannabe school teacher nose in other folks' business.
He talking that union stuff.
Honey, Clyde's always talking that union stuff. Matter of fact, he wants me to let him hold a meeting today down in the basement.
You said no, right?
Clyde's the man of the house. If that's what he wants, then that's what he's gonna get.
Mama, no, it's not for us to get mixed up in all of that.
Never mind. Mama got her own plans.
Big Mama reaches into her robe pocket and pulls out a torn page from a newspaper.
Read this.
Available for colored 2-story wood frame house, 252 Mount Vernon, St. Broker, available on premises. Mama, Mount St. Vernon is a white neighborhood.
Well, it ain't gonna be once we move in there.
Mama, it's white. We can't move into no white neighborhood. We are only safe here in the Ville, where we Negroes always have been.
Hush. With all this defense money that you and your sisters and Clyde pulling in, we're getting us a new house.
In a white neighborhood.
I know what I'm doing. We need a larger space with all these children and with you three needing a respectable place to have gentlemen company. We'll show these neighbors how we hoops can come up in the world.
Mama, no. What is the sense in going all the way over to Mount Vernon Street where we know we gonna stand out?
Never mind that. Just look at this place. We all just crowd in on each other. If your daddy was still living, he'd want us in a larger house. That was his hope for this family. This place all cramped and crowded with children and all this noise and rattling. Y'all don't even notice that. You don't notice nothing what I'm going through.
Okay, let me just get through today with the Palmers, and tonight want to go hear Mr. Palmer's speech. Then we'll see what kind of houses we're gonna look for, Mama. You can always count on your honey.
Big Mama and the sisters freeze as Honey addresses the audience.
Everybody can always count on honey. Meanwhile, who can honey count on?
Lights up on the street outside Big Mama's house. Newsboy steps out from the chorus.
Tonight, folks, read all about it. And Andrew Palmer, St. Louis Leading Citizens received Stephen 1943 Citizen of the Year Award tonight at Town Hall.
Pair or trio of actors mime riding a streetcar and proceed around the stage. Other actors become pedestrians crossing back and forth.
She lost her only son. Telegram this morning.
Child, we moving my mother-in-law up to the attic bedroom. Can't take it no more.
With this war on, can't find a decent pair of stockings anywhere.
Honey enters. She carries a purse and a paper bag. Some pedestrians stare at her in passing.
Praying for my sweetheart every night.
Pregnant again.
Every time he comes home on leave from that air base, she ends up, you know what.
They say his ship is missing, but that's all they tell us so far.
Bobo and Clyde walk in from opposite direction from Honey. She spots them and slowly approaches.
Man, come on now. Look, just come to a meeting this afternoon at my place. What you got to lose?
Shit, I ain't gonna hear nothing I ain't heard before. Never mind these union lies, man.
You ain't heard this colored union man coming from Chicago?
Chicago ain't but a little further north than us down here, but it's all the same bullshit.
They both realize that Honey is standing right beside them. Clyde gives Honey a peck on her cheek.
Hey, sis.
Brother, you planning on having union meetings in our house?
What if I am? My house is as much as yours.
Hey, Miss Honey, you just as pretty this morning as you was at the dance last night.
We all just on in this factory. Let's not cause no trouble. You stay safe, please, for my sake.
Honey, I ain't no damn baby. Having one mama in that damn house is mama enough.
Clyde starts to run off.
When you gonna stop being so scared?
Clyde exits back into the chorus. Bobo slides up from behind her. Pedestrians pass by, staring at Honey.
The eyes popping out their heads because you so pretty that it's shining out all over. Last night, I was good enough to dance with, drink with, kiss.
He takes her arm and starts two-stepping. He briefly snuggles against her ear.
My honey's lips sweeter than any honeycomb, honey.
Man, quit.
Newsboy passes. Bobo and Honey stroll around the stage as if walking down a city street. Pedestrians come and go.
Tonight, folks. Read all about it. Mr. Andrew Palmer, St. Louis's leading citizen, receiving 1943 Citizen of the Year Award tonight at Town Hall.
I ought to take that damn Citizen Award, melt it into gunpowder, and go target shooting on some of these mothers.
Don't be wishing nobody no evil. Ain't no war between white folks and black folks.
You read about what happened in Alabama. Colored soldier come home for his grandma's funeral and got lynched the next day. So much for all this fight against Hitler.
Ain't nobody saying that we ain't got no bad stuff that we got to take care of here after the war when we're back here at home.
Here at home. Be why I can't join the white union. Here at home be where I'm made to work in a separate building. And I'm not allowed to use the white man's toilet. That's my here at home.
Don't try and take it all on. You'll make yourself sick.
You're a good woman, honey. No hate. Only love. We're going dancing tonight. Buy you a croissant for your dress. You're going to be pantsing mighty fine.
Tonight, I'm going to hear Mr. Palmer speak at the town hall.
After he speak, then. Don't tell me you got nobody else asking you out on dates, because I cut them. Say I slice them clean to the bone. Don't think I won't.
Honey takes his hand in concern.
Why you gotta be like this? Why?
gotta get to work. Could be some of them high-rise white men in town be headed for a fall.
What?
Bobo tips his cap to her as actor steps out, now as a streetcar driver.
Next stop, Lewis Place. Step in, please. Watch your step.
Bobo waves to Honey, climbs on streetcar, and car exits back into the chorus. Big Mama and Ulatha call out to Honey from the chorus.
No other man make your heart pound and your toes curl up like he do.
Only Bobo's all evil, but he's good too. If only I could just let him hold me while he cried it all out.
That man gonna fill your arms with a whole heap of trouble, and you know it too.
Just as Honey is about to move along, suddenly Ben Boston is directly in her path. He tips his stylish hat.
Morning, Miss Honey. How are you this morning? You look well.
I'm doing nicely. How you been?
I can't help but be happy seeing you.
They walk along.
Just to be standing here with her, just to hear her voice, just to look into this soft shine in her eyes.
And your mother? How's she this morning?
Mama's wrong. Don't need me no girl from the colored college who can talk correct and who's light-skinned enough to pass. This the woman for me, standing right here.
Ben.
He's dull, 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 dull.
I would have my car this morning, but it's in the shop till around 2.
La-di-da, this man is so dull, dull, dull. He's sweet, but he is so dull.
Streetcar drives up. Ben and Honey step into the streetcar. Pair or trio of actors join as riders. They all mime riding the rhythm of the streetcar.
Step in, please. Watch your step.
This is not the way to the plant.
On my way over to Mrs. Palmer's to do her a favor today. She's kind of nervous with Mr. Palmer speaking tonight at Town Hall.
Yeah, understandable, I guess. Understandable.
Dull, dull, dull.
Ask her out to one of the dances. Just ask her. Quit being so shy.
Man, Honey wants a cool cat with some style. She never wants you anyway.
Had a nice funeral yesterday.
Colored folks in this town depend on you. You treat everybody with such respect.
Can he talk about nothing else but his funeral home?
And your sister's new baby, so cute.
Yet another baby in a house full of kids.
You be a sweet mother, honey. Any baby be lucky to have you as a mama.
Lord, he's trying to trap me already.
Ain't hankering for no babies, Ben.
Oh no. Please excuse me.
I know you didn't mean nothing by it.
You see that house, the third house, the one with the bay window? I bought it 2 years back. It's where I'm gonna live and have a family someday, I hope.
Man, Honey just told you she ain't into no housekeeping. Think of something romantic or something. You so lame.
Clyde enters with 2 black male actors. They mind being caught up in heavy conversation. Meanwhile, the streetcar carrying Honey and Benny rides past them.
What's Clyde up to?
He's a way-grown man, honey.
He planning on a union meeting at my house this morning.
Union meeting at your house?
Clyde running around upset all the time.
I really can't blame him. Whites let us into the factories, but not equal to him.
Ben, do me a favor.
What? How can I help?
Honey prepares to tell Ben her idea as the streetcar rides along and returns to the chorus. Honey crosses to the prop table, changes into her maid's cap and apron. Later in the Palmer's house, Mr. Palmer paces, still in her robe. Mrs. Palmer paces, still in her robe.
Please, Junior, send a letter or something. 48 days, 7 weeks, 48 days.
Mr. Palmer paces in a separate area.
My fellow citizens of our beloved city, It is with honor and gratitude that I accept this 1943 Citizenship Award.
Honey enters Mrs. Palmer's area.
Morning, ma'am.
No letter from Andrew Jr. in 48 days.
Miss Palmer, Mr. Jr. probably got a letter on his way to you this very day. Guess you better be putting up your hair if you don't want folks staring at you at the ceremony.
Oh, I know. It looks terrible.
This here turkey about the size of a mosquito.
That's what I mean. And Mr. Palmer goes and invites all these guests.
Dorothy Jane Palmer rushes in, carrying 2 different dresses. She kisses Honey on the cheek.
My new beau will be here, Timothy Lester, a 4F art student, handsome. Wait till you see him.
And then what to serve with this measly turkey? What'll my guests think? It's not me, blame the war coupons.
Honey, I'll work it all out, right, honey? Meanwhile, which of these dresses for Tim to see me in tonight? Which one, honey?
Dorothy displays the dresses to Honey, who is preoccupied with the task before her.
Your brother's been missing for 48 days and you're trying on dresses?
Mother, do you want me naked at Dad's award ceremony?
Y'all go get dressed and fixed up.
Honey studies the unseen turkey.
Miss Palmer, from the look of this skimpy turkey, I'm thinking cocktail sandwiches with cocktails, then taking your guests to dinner at the country club.
Why didn't I think of that? But make sure to polish the silver and iron the lace napkins so that we don't come off cheap. As always, our Honey to the rescue.
Mrs. Palmer exits, and Dorothy starts out, but turns back to Honey briefly.
Oh, and honey, Daddy wants his gin and tonic in his study soon as he can.
Dorothy exits. Lights up on Mr. Palmer's study. Mr. Palmer paces in a separate area, rehearsing to himself.
My fellow citizens of our beloved city, it is with honor and gratitude that I accept this 1943 Citizenship Award.
He paces back and forth. Honey enters Mr. Palmer's study. She carries 2 cocktail glasses on a tray.
You, Honey, stress relief.
He gulps down the cocktail. Honey is quite comfortable with Mr. Palmer.
You've definitely been here. No. No need to explain. Your defense wages are much more.
He gulps down the second glass.
Quite a sight to see all you women working in defense, building guns and aircrafts. Who could have imagined it back when I was a boy?
We all real proud of you, Mr. Palmer. Back where I live, and I'm grateful. You standing up for Negroes, for our rights to work.
If I can just make a speech that'll speak to everyone tonight.
Oh, you will. I trust you will.
Say, how do the colored boys feel about going into the army? I hear there's been some, well, grumbling.
I don't know nothing about all that. Well, some of them drag their feet about being called up on account of, well, being treated bad here on the home front. And some bragging about all the medals they gonna get. Anyway, I got turkey sandwiches waiting to be made.
Honey and Mrs. Palmer exchange smiles. Honey exits. Mr. Palmer stands in the spotlight, anxious. Doorbell rings. Mr. and Mrs. Dupree step out of the chorus and enter the Palmer home. The chorus arranges a semicircle of chairs, then return back into being the chorus. Lights up on the Palmer home. Mrs. Dupree and Mrs. Palmer enter.
Lillian, darling, I know we're frightfully early, but Gus insisted we come before the others arrive.
Mr. Palmer and Mr. Dupree step forward, shaking hands.
Hey, Gus, good to see you, buddy.
Andrew, how's your golf swing these days? And how's Andrew Jr.?
He's bombing Sicily so we can grab it from Mussolini.
But he sent no letter in 48 days.
Keep your faith, darling. Remember, it took me and Gus 3 months to hear from our George and 4 months to hear from David. Communication just gets all messed up over there.
Honey approaches. Honey approaches Mrs. Dupree, snaps her fingers at Honey.
You be careful with this mink.
Honey takes the wrap from Mrs. Dupree's shoulders.
Yes, ma'am.
They never realize the true value of things.
You know, Honey's helping me out this afternoon. I'm afraid y'all are catching us before we're quite ready to host.
Darling, don't stress your sweet self. Just keep the liquor flowing till the others get here. And how is Dorothy Jane?
Oh, she's breaking off so many engagements that I can't keep up. She's upstairs debating what dress to wear.
Mrs. Palmer ushers the Duprees into the space. They all take seats in a semicircle. Honey stands in a separate space polishing a serving tray from the prop table.
They never realize true value of things.
The heat.
So, everybody, what can I get you?
Manhattan for me.
Oh, a gin fizz, that's my poison.
Darling, you know mine.
Palmer crosses to the separate space, mimes fixing cocktails, then he will hand the others their drinks.
Oh, 1943 Citizen of the Year. Let's have a preview of your sterling words of wisdom for tonight.
Congratulations on the much-deserved award.
I'm so proud of him.
Mrs. Palmer crosses into the kitchen space and addresses Honey, as Palmer serves the Duprees their cocktails.
Why in goodness name would they turn up early?
It'll be just fine, Miss Palmer. We'll stretch the hors d'oeuvres. I'm cutting them into tiny pieces. Just make sure Mr. Palmer keeps the cocktails flowing.
Mrs. Palmer re-enters parlor, smiling. Honey mimes prepping sandwiches while peeking through the kitchen door.
So, you got your girl to come to work? Lucky. Most of them are running to the defense plant.
Honey's been with us for years. I'm very fond of her.
Keep in mind, you're doing this for Mr. Palmer, for Mr. Palmer.
Honey carries out the tray and the Duprees mime taking sandwiches. They are rigidly silent in Honey's presence. Honey exits back into the kitchen space. She mimes listening to the kitchen door.
Is Honey her real name? How amusing. Back down home, we had one called Bronchitis. She was going with a black buck named Catastrophe.
The Duprees laugh while the Palmers freeze.
Ring for the girl, would you?
A chorus member rings a small bell. Honey proceeds in the parlor space, and the Duprees instantly freeze their laughter.
Go in my coat pocket and bring me my lace handkerchief.
Honey nods slightly, exits off, but still minds listening.
But first, I must get this off my mind. Andrew, rumor is that you're wanting to open that Perry Street playground to Negro children.
Rumor is you proposed that to the city council?
Don't tell me you want nigger kids playing with white.
Negroes and whites are dying together in the army?
Separate platoons, thank goodness.
Negroes are 16% of the enlisted men and only 10% of our population.
Chorus member hands Honey a folded lace handkerchief. She proceeds to carry it into the parlor space. Honey hands Mrs. Dupree the handkerchief, then exits back into the kitchen area. Honey mimes listening at the door.
Our Negro citizens deserve their full citizenship rights, Gus. They're as much a part of the war effort as...
Andrew, are you aware of just how bad things are out here?
Let's just all hope and pray that the war's over as soon as humanly possible and that our boys are over there.
Next week, when I take Mrs. Dupree to the Hotel St. Louis for her birthday, are you telling me that I must disturb my Nancy's peace of mind because some black buck and his black gal have the so-called right to be seated right next to us?
Back in Alabama, we don't have this problem. Y'all up here coddle them. Y'all permit them to sit where they want on the streetcars. Why, just the other day, this darky tries to sit next to me. Well, I raised my umbrella, and you can bet he made for the back seat like greased lightning.
The Duprees chuckle. Mr. and Mrs. Palmer do not join in.
Remember? The police beating up Clyde. Remember, no money to bury Mama stillborn back in 38. Mr. Palmer come through. And he'll come through for us tonight. Honey, you doing this for Mr. Palmer.
I'll speak plainly. There is a sickness in our fair city. And the sickness lives in the hearts of our white people, not the Negroes.
Andrew, don't tell me I'm hearing what I'm hearing. You owe it to white women and men to protect their safety and their jobs. You're gonna address that?
Buzzer rings.
Honey, the door. Everybody else is here. I'm sure Andrew won't go too far.
Mrs. Palmer addresses the audience as her guests.
Welcome, everybody, to our celebration. Honey will get your wraps and hats, cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, and then dinner at the club.
Honey turns to the audience.
5 hours on my feet. What's the pay she give me?
Honey slowly reaches into her apron pocket and takes out a note.
Dear Honey, thank you so much for this afternoon. I'll be forever grateful. Oh, and could you give Dorothy's bedroom a going over before you leave? Thank you so much, Mrs. Palmer.
Ulatha calls out from the chorus.
And she didn't pay you no extra from taking off from the factory today, did she? Thought you were saving her life. There go Miss Palmer's pocket change in her dresser drawer. You better snatch you an extra $1.
Honey reaches out and holds her hand suspended in the air.
Don't you deserve it? Don't she deserve it? Don't she deserve it?
Honey mimes snatching the extra $1. Ulatha claps.
And make sure you slam the front door, honey.
Chorus members stomp their feet like a slamming door. Lights up on Big Mama's house that same morning. Bobo steps out from the chorus and addresses the audience.
Meanwhile, back in Clyde and Honey's house, down in the basement.
Tom Johnson addresses the audience.
Morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tom Johnson. I'm here from the central office of the CIO, my union, the Congress of Industrial Organizations. My colleague is headed here on the train from Chicago. He should be here very soon. Okay, you ask me, why the CIO? Why should you join the CIO?
Government just put down a riot between black and white workers just a few weeks ago in Detroit.
Yes, that's because the Detroit United Auto Workers did nothing to really help Negro and white workers talk together from the beginning. The CIO wants to start the dialogue straight away.
Whites don't want no dialogue with no Negroes in this town.
Just let the man speak.
Emery enters, a black lieutenant. Bobo and Emery are instantly startled at the sight of each other.
This here's the colored union man from Chicago.
Clyde, Bobo, and Emery move off into a separate space as Tom continues miming his speech.
Bobo, meet Lieutenant Emery. Emery, meet.
Hello, little brother. Long time no see.
Dang, you mean brothers like real brothers?
Emery and Bobo just lock eyes. Clyde backs away.
Well, look here. Guess y'all got stuff to catch up on. Then come on back into the meeting. Brothers, ain't that up here?
Tom and Clyde return to the chorus as Emery and Bobo step off into a separate space.
Well.
So, this where you ended up, St. Louis.
So you a lieutenant. Bet you'll have a ton of badges when this war's over.
I'm gonna try my best to do my duty.
Always end up the hero, don't you?
Good to finally find you, Leroy.
Up here, I'm called Bobo.
So you interested in the new kind of union?
I'm interested in me.
Draft board's looking for you back home.
Shit, why give my life for Uncle Sammy when we still being lynched back down in Alabama?
Auntie will be glad to know I finally found you.
Bullshit. She the one worked me half to death in them damn cotton fields. Me, just a kid, while she lets you go on to high school.
She done joined the church now. She's sorry about the past.
Auntie just an old heifer, now scared she's gonna go to hell. Hope it happens. Deepest part of hell too.
We gotta let the past go, man.
I'm sweating in them damn cotton fields, and you get to go to high school. And then the colored college, you get to think with your mind. Meanwhile, I get nothing but to soak in my sweat.
I tried to do all I could for you, but with us just being kids.
That old heifer lived off my labor. Where was my union back then?
Brother, let's make up for it now.
Oh, I'm supposed to forget the years of me living off the streets, doing crap games to eat while you was off in college?
Clyde enters, followed by Tom.
Tom Baker, be my brother, Leroy McLean.
Leroy, that's your real name?
Oh, you associate with big shots now. Huh? Lieutenant?
Good to meet you, Leroy. Me and Emery are traveling city to city, coast to coast. Got to get that message out.
We gotta have a union that makes peace between black and white.
A union. Black and white. Trouble's the only thing that's ever been between black and white. And that's how it always will be.
Bobo runs off. Later that evening, we hear soft Western classical music playing in the town hall. Honey joins the other women of the chorus as they slip into high heels and hats. The men tie on ties and wear 40s era fedoras. Usher steps out of the chorus.
Please take your seats. The program is about to begin. Please take your seats.
Eulatha and Carmen step out from the chorus and stroll around the stage, miming, greeting unseen people.
My. Colored folks done turned out tonight and they Sunday best. Hey, Teresa, you looking mighty fine. Now, any fool can see that hat don't fit that girl's head.
The Duprees enter, waving to others in the town hall.
Excellent turnout, I'll say.
Of course, everybody who's anybody. Thankfully, the colored are up in the balcony where they belong.
Calm, my dear, calm. Don't upset yourself. But how can I present the damn award if we're not sure he'll cooperate?
Mr. Palmer paces in a separate space. His speech is in his hand.
My fellow citizens.
Lights fade on Mr. Palmer. Honey and Ben step out from the chorus. Honey wears her own fancy wrap.
Miss Honey, how you doing this evening?
What's she doing with him? What's he seeing her?
Uh-oh, somebody's jealous.
I can wrap Ben Boston around my pinky finger.
Don't look like it to me.
May I escort you to the balcony?
Well, I'm waiting for Clyde.
You looking mighty wonderful.
Ben, I could have a sack over my head and you.
Make no difference to me.
And I'm the one taking college courses. Honey's ignorance.
Girl, Ben Boston's mama wants him married to a light-skinned, nose-in-the-air gal. So both of you's out of luck, because Ben Boston always does what his mama wants.
Enter Clyde and Emery from the chorus.
Sister, over here.
And now we have to put up with their noise.
Should I go back in the dressing room and have one more talk with Palmer?
No, it'll only raise your blood pressure.
Clyde and Emery approach Honey and Ben.
Honey, meet Lieutenant Emery McLean, our union man from Chicago. Emery, my sister Honey.
Suspended moment. Honey is clearly fascinated by and attracted to Emery, though she keeps her demeanor as they shake hands. Ben turns to the audience.
She wants him. The more she tries to hide it, more is playing on her face.
Lieutenant?
Just call me Emery, Miss Honey. Name suits you. And that's a lovely rap.
You're the one holding meetings in my house in the afternoons.
The CIO.
Stands for the Congress of Industrial Organizations. They the union that's all about treating the Negro fair. They'll help us fight.
She wants him. Ben Boston shall never want you.
The CIO's main purpose is not fighting battles for its colors, but they ought to aim to treat us fair and give us an equal vote.
Mr. Emery.
Just call me Emery.
Just like that. Bam. So much for my chances.
We're here tonight to hear Mr. Andrew Palmer.
Yet another white liberal blowing hot air.
What do you know? You're just a visitor passing through.
She wants him, not me. Not me.
Ulatha and Carmen move in on Emery.
How do, Lieutenant? I am Honey's sister.
Ulatha and Carmen mime laughing and chatting with Emery, who is obviously not in the mood. Honey turns to the audience.
And anyways, man like that be way, way too high up for me. What I got to offer? Me, first at the Palmers, then at the plant. Man like him? Honey, quit dreaming.
Please take your seats. The program is about to begin. Please take your seats.
Bobo rushes in. He clearly has been drinking. Honey crosses over to Bobo.
Hey.
You've been drinking.
Hey, don't worry about it. No. We got our dancing after this.
Ain't going out with you drinking like this, Bobo?
You sure ain't going dancing with nobody else?
Emery, Clyde, and Ben cross over and join Honey and Bobo.
You're drunk, Leroy.
Leroy? McLean, wait a second. You two brothers?
Hey, never seen him before in my life.
She wants him. He shines way, way, way shinier than the rest of us.
You think I should go backstage and
No, it's Lillian's place to be backstage now.
Curtain rising in 5 minutes.
Lights up on backstage of the auditorium. The Palmers hug tightly. Dorothy hugs Palmer again.
Lillian, Dorothy Jane, I've got to speak what I really believe.
You do that, Papa.
Absolutely. Just, remember, we've got all our friends and neighbors whom we have to live with in this town, all sitting out front.
We've got to work side by side with our Negro citizens, or we won't have the weapons we need.
Darling, we have to live with our friends. Don't say that.
Mama, please, just relax.
Meanwhile, back in the theater lobby.
Of course, now Honey won't care about sitting next to me. Now all she wants is that lieutenant.
Emery pulls Bobo aside.
Respect the lady. Go home and sleep it off.
You. All my life. You getting in my way. Now you turn up out of nowhere, slick bastard, and you still snatching away my chances, like you always do. God damn you!
Bobo runs off.
Bobo!
Bobo!
Meanwhile, in the dressing room,
Oh, shit, I gotta have a smoke. Get some air.
Smoke here.
No, let me just...
Darling, you can't be in the alley. The audience is seated.
Just 5 more minutes. 8 at most, huh? Be right back.
Calm down. They can wait, Mom. Let's take our seats.
Palmer moves to the separate area on stage. All other cast members freeze in space. Lights up in the alley in the back of the town hall. Palmer loosens his tie and paces, smoking heavily.
My fellow citizens of our beloved city, it is with honor and gratitude that I accept this 1943 Citizenship Award. But what is the task before us?
Yeah, how come it's always him shining bright? Always him taking all the shine away from me.
Mr. Palmer continues smoking and pacing.
He left with nothing again? No, brother, you ain't stealing my lady. No, you ain't.
Hey, you in the shadow, come out here, show your face.
Who you on around, uppity white man?
I said show your face, or I'm calling the police.
Bobo comes forward, confronting Palmer.
That's all you uppity white men cling to, ain't it? Ain't it? The cops, always the cops.
You back off, hear me?
Taking no more orders from you, uppity crackers.
Help, police, help!
Panicked, Bobo pulls his switchblade, and in a second, Palmer is staggering backwards, stabbed. Bobo is clearly shocked and sobers in an instant with regret.
What's going on? What happened?
He dashes off, dropping the blade. Blood-curdling scream. Mrs. Palmer rushes over to Andrew, cradling him in her lap. He's clearly dead. Dorothy rushes screaming. Honey rushes in, being held back by Emery, Clyde, and Ben. She joins the screaming. Lights down, end of Act 1.
Wow, thank you all so much. That was really quite powerful. So this is intermission. So it's just a few minutes intermission. Actors, please go get a drink of water and take care of yourself. And I would like to introduce board member Roseanne Weiss, who's going to come and talk to us a little bit about Bread and Roses. Roseanne, come on in.
I'm here. I think we have to undo me here.
Undo your video.
Yeah, start my video. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. And thank you for joining us tonight. This is so amazing. And I'm riveted. I don't know if you are, but I am for sure. And I hope you are too. There's so many people watching with us tonight. This is so great. So I hope you're enjoying Mrs. Palmer's Honey. We're so excited to be able to bring this preview reading to you. We're going to take a brief intermission, as Kathy said, for about 5 minutes. But before you run off to the kitchen to refresh your drink, please stay for just one moment longer. I'm Roseanne Weiss, a very proud board member of Bread and Roses, Missouri, which is a nonprofit organization working at the intersections of art and activism. Bread and Roses uses arts as the lens to examine social and economic justice issues in all of our programming. We believe that culture and creative expression are a means to effect deep and lasting social change. This play is part of our workers' theater projects that includes commissioned plays such as this one and our workers' opera. Mrs. Palmer's Honey is scheduled to open in 2021 at the Missouri History Museum, and we are asking you to help us do that. If you are able at this time and would like to support the artists, actors, educators, and activists who are making a much needed difference for our working families, I'm asking you to please go to breadandrosesmo.org/donate and make a contribution. That's breadandrosesmo.org/donate. We are so grateful for your support and thank you. Now, go refresh that drink and we'll be back shortly with the second act of Mrs. Palmer's Honey. Thank you so much.
So I just wanted to say that if anybody had any questions for the playwright, please make sure that you put those in the comments here on YouTube. As I said, this is a reading. It would be a first reading around a table. So we're making this a very public event. But we would love if you have questions about the playwright, her process, the story, anything like that, even for the actors. I think some of them are going to be able to stick around, so that would be great. So please post those questions. I saw there were a few of them already posted that I'll make sure to ask Cassandra Medley when we have her. So yeah, and I hope you all grab some food. We said this was dinner theater. I forgot to say that at the top. But the great thing about this virtual world is that you can be doing a myriad of other things while enjoying theater, or we're going to come up with another name for this because it's different than what we're used to. And that's a conversation that a lot of artists are having now, because this sets us up for a whole lot of other things to think about as far as technical issues. We're theater folks, not necessarily technicians. And even if we are technicians, it's hard to do both. It's hard to be acting and also unmuting yourself. It's also very hard to connect if you're not looking into the eyes of someone. So it's a challenge for all artists who are now engaging in this way. But as theater folks do, we rise to the occasion. We find creative ways to do what we love to do. We love theater, so we're going to always figure out ways to do it. We need to figure out what this is called, though, this virtual world. But it does allow us to expand our audience base. Maybe people who have never heard of a first read and what that process is. You can see it's a lot of work. The actors are reading this now for just the second time. So it's a lot of work that goes into the process. And to let you all know, we are going to do a full production of Mrs. Palmer's Honey in February. And between now and then, there will be rewrites to the script that the playwright will do in conjunction with feedback from myself as the director, from the founder and director of Bread and Roses, Joan Suarez. So it's a process, and we're really going to keep on going, even in the state of the world now. So thank you all so much for being part of this. Please stick around with us, grab a little something to eat, and Act 2 is coming up any minute. Thank you.
Act 2. Lights up on a various city street. Lights up on sound of police sirens. Bobo is desperately running in circles around the stage to simulate running for miles and miles. Police sirens fade as Bobo continues to run in slow motion in the background of the next two scenes. Lights up on the chorus standing in a semicircle as if around a grave. Mrs. Palmer clings to Honey on one side of her and Dorothy on the other. The minister intones.
O God, whose mercies cannot be numbered, accept our prayers on behalf of thy servant Andrew, and grant him an entrance into the land of light and joy. In thy fellowship of thy saints, through Jesus Christ, the Son of our Lord. Amen.
Minister's voice fades as lights up on Big Mama's house. 1 hour later, the chorus sets up minimal set of 1 or 2 kitchen chairs. Urgently crying, unseen babies are heard. Honey sits in one of the chairs. Clyde and Big Mama stand on either side of her. Honey's face is a complete blank. Bobo continues to run in a circle in slow motion in the background.
Daughter, please. You're the best daughter I got. Please don't be this way.
Carmen crosses behind Mama on her way towards the sound of the crying babies. Honey remains silent.
Mama, you always talking about she the best. What she got that's so special? Ain't even been to college.
Carmen, you get in there and tend to your twins.
Come on, sister. Come on now. Come on back to us.
Honey, daughter, I say you come on out of all of this shop and rest your mind and marry Ben Boston.
Ben Boston's mama don't want Honey for no daughter-in-law. Honey too dark-skinned.
You hush up. Can't you see your sister's all upset?
Honey stands and comes forward. Clyde and Big Mama continue as if Honey is still seated in the chair. As Honey speaks out in the air, the impression should be that she is speaking to herself inside her mind. Bobo disappears from the background.
Bobo, nobody know where you done run off to. Everybody in the neighborhood recognized that knife, your knife. What happened? Mr. Palmer was the best friend we Negroes had. How could you do it? In my dreams, I got me my own knife. Got it out the kitchen drawer. In my dreams, I hunt you down.
She raises her hand and starts stabbing the air.
Stab you back, stab you and stab you and stab you.
Honey freezes in place. Clyde and Big Mama address the chair as if Honey is still seated there.
Honey, don't be like this, please.
Come on back to the factory. That'll help.
Wasn't like Palmer was no hero, wasn't no Lincoln or nothing. Just a plain old ordinary white man, and there's no telling what kind of speech he was gonna give.
You hush up and go help the kids get into their pajamas and say their prayers for bed.
Oh, I think I loved you. Thought I did. At least wanted to. Is that really love? Now I want you dead. Can't do nothing. Nothing. Can't make what happened go away. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?
Honey returns to the chair that Clyde and Big Mama continue to hover over her. She now speaks to Big Mama as if coming out of a trance.
Too much commotion going on.
Never mind. We getting the kids settled in bed. Y'all get quiet back there before I come back there with my strap.
Good you're back with us.
Everybody around here knows who knife that was.
Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to no white police.
That's right. Ain't no self-respecting Negro gonna turn in no another Negro.
None of us know what there is to tell. Except it was Bobo's pearl handle switchblade. Plus a whole lot of us saw him run out the lobby and head towards the alleyway.
Put it out of your mind.
And I'm the one right in the middle of it.
How you figure that? Just because Bobo was wanting you to go to some damn dance and you told him no?
Can't make it not happen. Mr. Palmer dead. Bobo on the run, seen too many wrongs. Too much hating for wrongs done. Peace. I just want peace.
Honey, if you would just go ahead and marry Ben.
Just want some peace inside my mind. Least I can do is be what comfort I can to Mrs. Palmer.
They all stare at her, bewildered.
Her daughter, Dorothy Jane.
What about that girl?
Has to go back to college now that the funeral's over.
So?
At least I can go help Miss Palmer in her grief.
You don't mean this.
You don't mean to stay there? Only bed they got for maids is either in the attic or the basement.
Then that's where I'll be. Alone and at peace.
No, listen to me, okay? You thought mighty highly of Mr. Palmer. That's your business.
Mr. Palmer kept you from...
Yeah, the phony charges that would have put me in prison. Don't mean I owe him the rest of my natural life.
I'll be praying for Mr. Palmer's soul every night.
But just because you know Bobo too, so? You ain't got no debts to pay Mrs. Palmer.
I want me peace and quiet.
God, honey, You ain't did nothing to deserve being laid away from your family. Like we done throwed you out. What peace you gonna get living in Miss Palmer's basement?
And lose your factory job? You must not be right in the head.
Clyde grabs Honey by her shoulders. She gently pushes him off.
Don't come see me. Never. This is what I want.
No!
Honey pushes off Clyde's grasp and exits off. The family exchanges shocked and bewildered glances. Lights up on the Palmer's house. Mrs. Palmer appears in her robe, staring blankly at the audience as if staring through a window. She clutches a man's sweater. A few beats, and then Honey joins her at the window. Honey is not wearing her maid's cap, just a plain dress.
What day is it?
January 15th.
January 15th. My goodness. 1944. What happened in 1943?
You going back to bed. I'm fixing your pork chops tonight.
You make some for yourself too?
Mm-hmm.
You must stop living off soup and crackers. You know, I've never been one of those ladies who order the help to not eat the same food as the rest of the family.
Look at that snow just coming down. Tree branches look like they wearing pure white robes.
Mr. Palmer used to say, snow was like powder on a woman's face, covering the blemishes. Of course, he doesn't know I use powder.
Remember the snowman he built when the kids was little?
Oh, and please make sure Mr. Palmer puts on his sweater before tramping out in the snow.
Mrs. Palmer holds out the sweater to Honey, who gently locks eyes with her. A moment as Mrs. Palmer realizes.
If only what I dreamed could turn out to be real.
And what do I dream? Nothing. Just filled up with a whole lot of empty.
Honey and Mrs. Palmer briefly circle the stage.
Day is it?
February 20.
My goodness, February already.
I'm fixing you a sweet potato beef stew.
Make sure to take some for yourself.
You go back to bed.
No letter from Andrew Jr.
Prisoners of war can't write nobody. Remember?
Oh. Yes, right. My Valentines.
Put them all on the dining room table from all down through the years.
He was the love of my life.
To have such a love.
Honey and Mrs. Palmer briefly circle the stage.
What day is it now? Air feels just a tiny bit warmer, like March.
It is March. It is March. Nighttime now. Let's put you to bed. I'll bring up some lemon ginger tea.
Door buzzer sounds. Clyde steps out from the chorus.
Who's calling at this time of night? Shall we call the police?
Honey walks to the door and is amazed to see Clyde.
I'm Honey's brother, Clyde. That's right. I came to the front door, not the back.
Miss Palmer, you going upstairs. I'm gonna get to them dishes as soon as I see what this is all about. Come down to my room.
Maybe he could shovel the walkway tomorrow.
Nope. I just make bullets. Don't shovel snow.
Mrs. Palmer, bewildered, exits back into the chorus. Honey and Clyde make a brief imaginary turn. Then lights up on the Palmer's basement. Clyde paces, looks around.
You've gotten skinny. So this your room for the past 5 months. White St. Louis would approve. She upstairs in her 4-poster bed with the lacy bedroom curtains. You the help down in the basement. Broken mirror, saggy mattress, chair ready for the junkyard. You gotta stop this now.
I ain't got nothing to be ashamed of.
Need you. I'm in trouble.
Trouble? You lost your job.
Got the most wonderful job in the world. CIO voted me in, head of the plant CIO union. Me, Clyde who? Constitution say black and white equal. Working together at the plant, No segregated bathrooms or cafeterias.
But you say you in trouble.
Well, it's sweet kind of trouble, of making trouble. So we colored and white workers get our rights. And even more sweet trouble on top of that. Like being in love.
You in love?
Name's Gloria.
Oh, brother. She a good person.
She's from Massachusetts.
Way up north, what's she doing down here?
Best union organizer we got. It's tough getting women to sign on. They hate to part with their dues.
Maybe because they know the war gotta end one day and then they gotta go back to being cooks and house and cleaners.
Nothing wrong with being a cook and a housekeeper. Long as they learn to demand wages and decent hours and conditions. Instead of this.
What you come here for?
Gloria's sick. Coughing terrible. Tomorrow your day off?
Don't take no days off.
Well, please take one. Tomorrow, please. Gloria needs somebody to come in and make up a bed, fix up some food. She too weak and coughing from head to toe. Colored ward in the hospital is full up.
Give me the address. Just this once, but no more.
Lights up on Gloria's rooming house. Chorus forms chairs into a makeshift bed as Gloria steps out from the chorus. The doctor leads her to the bed, tucking her in with blankets. Gloria can barely speak.
Women need to be a much, much larger presence at the convention this summer. It's what our union stands for, increased participation of women.
Will you lay back and be quiet? Your lungs are a mess. That fever's got to go down. I'd put you in the hospital, except the waiting lists are too long.
Honey enters the scene. At first, the other two don't notice her.
And it's got to be Negro women and white women together on that platform this summer.
Gloria, let up and rest. I'm serious.
Doctor notices Honey and greets her, shaking hands. Honey's amazed at this gesture.
Yeah, I'm Mike Simmons, the union doctor.
Mike's a proud member of the CIO. That's Honey Hoop, my sweetheart sister.
Sweetheart. That's what Clyde calls you too.
Doctor hands Honey some vials.
This every 2 hours for the fever, and this one for the phlegm. Thanks, Miss Hoop.
Miss who? A white man? A doctor calling me miss? First thing, she needs fresh sheets and towels. Saw where they keep them in these rooming houses. Y'all gotta hunt them down. Then this place needs going over with a broom, a mop, a dust rag, and I'll make hot broth.
Cheryl burst into the room.
We now have 22 more gals signed up for the Army ammo plant.
Mike signals Cheryl to hush. They are both union comrades.
Thank you, Ms. Hoop.
Can't stay after dark. I gotta get back to somebody who's afraid to be alone after dark.
Mrs. Palmer steps forward, still in her bathrobe, stands in her separate space facing out of the audience.
I can stay the night.
Cheryl shakes hands with Honey.
Cheryl Clark.
It's unheard of down here. White woman shaking a Negro woman's hand.
Hey, wait a second. I remember you. You was in the ordnance plant, right? Always sweet to everybody, but you never came to our union meetings.
Got nothing to do with no union.
Okay, ladies, I'm on to my next emergency. Hey, be strict with her.
Doctor rushes out. Honey turns to Cheryl.
This how to give the medicine.
Where are you working now?
Honey and Cheryl hold a stare. Gloria has fallen asleep with heavy breathing and occasional coughing. Lights up back and forth between the rooming house and Mrs. Palmer's house.
Honey, the nightmare's back, honey.
Honey rushes over to Mrs. Palmer.
I'm bringing you hot milk and ginger tea.
Meanwhile, on her side of the stage, Gloria slowly rises up out of bed. Honey rushes over to her.
Oh no, go back to bed.
Honey tucks Gloria back in the bed. She pulls out a book from under the covers, glances at the title, reading it out loud.
On lynchings, Ida B. Wells.
One of the founders of the NAACP was a journalist activist.
You been to college?
Wellesley, up in Massachusetts.
My goodness, Miss Dorothy Jane going to Wesley College right now.
Miss who?
You Negroes from up north have a whole different way of carrying yourselves out in the world.
Well, we tend to have a lot more expectations for what is possible up north, but we're making inroads down here too. Read some to me.
Honey sits and begins to read aloud to Gloria. As Gloria falls asleep, Honey circles back to Mrs. Palmer. Mrs. Palmer removes her robe and is dressed.
Today, I think I can work in my sewing room today.
Ooh, I'll bring your tea in there. Don't forget your glasses.
Meanwhile, in Gloria's space, she lies in her bed, coughing and smoking. Honey rushes over to Gloria, yanking the cigarette from her mouth.
Smoking in bed ain't right. Bet half that coughing is them cigarettes you eat instead of food.
Just read to me. Please.
Honey takes the book and proceeds to read.
Souls of Black Folk.
W.E.B. Du Bois, one of our Negro philosophers.
If you're Black, you can't just be yourself in America. You see yourself with all the negative stereotypes that white America attaches to you.
I wouldn't want to be anything but Black.
You glad to be Black?
Glad? Girl, look in the mirror and look at all the pretty shades that we come in.
Maybe you still got your fever.
Maybe you're the one with the fever. Thought you said you always wanted to go to college.
Gloria holds up her books.
Welcome to college.
Clyde appears carrying a bag of groceries full of food and flowers, which he hands to Gloria.
Hey, my ladies.
Hey, you. Tell me all about the meeting reports. What's the news?
Guess whose union is getting to be the biggest, the largest in town? No report till I get a kiss.
Clyde and Gloria briefly kiss. The passion is clear. Clyde hugs Honey.
Being asked about you.
Oh, does he now?
Honey crosses over to Mrs. Palmer's, shocked to see Mrs. Palmer fully dressed and that Mr. and Mrs. Dupree have come to visit.
Mr. and Mrs. Dupree, how you do?
Dupree's offer curt nods to Honey. Mr. Dupree examines a chair in the room.
Oh, this'll bring a good prize.
But I must keep Andrew's trophies.
Of course, my dear, of course.
Honey, I'm moving to the Ambassador Hotel.
Say what?
We're taking charge here. Finally getting you to listen to some reason.
This house is much, much, too much for you to handle.
Well, I guess you're right.
Gloria calls out to Honey as if inside Honey's mind.
Of course, the only one that's been handling it from all these months is you, girl, and you don't see that.
I'm in charge of the house sale and your move. Leave everything to me. Get you a good price. Yield dividends for you once this blasted war's over.
A residency hotel will provide you with the maid service plus 3 hot meals every day.
But Honey will need a new place.
Oh, I'll take her. 6 days a week, sleep in, attic room, off on Sundays. See, you won't be put out on the street. Now, Lillian, let's sort through what you want to sell.
Mrs. Dupree and Mrs. Palmer move a short distance from Honey and mime examining various pieces of furniture. Gloria calls out to Honey.
See how they decided your future? Not asking you, telling you which one of them can use you next. Miss Palmer tossing you off after all these months of care you gave her.
Honey turns to Mrs. Palmer and Dupree.
I already got myself a new job. Thank you, but no thank you.
Mrs. Palmer and Dupree freeze. Gloria steps forward, holding out a factory jumper to Honey, who takes it.
Damn right. I'm using my union connections and you coming back to the plants.
Lights up on the defense factory. This scene requires quick doubling of roles. Actress playing Ulatha is now a protester. Actors who played Bobo, Emery, and Ben are protesters. Perhaps projected computer slides can show the faces of multiple black and white workers. White actors form an assembly line and become assembly line workers.
Stamping steel.
Cylinders into bullets.
30 caliber.
50 caliber.
Keep the conveyors going.
Doing our part for the Allies.
Stamping.
Punching.
Loading.
Doing our part.
Doing our part.
Black actors stand out shouting to the white workers and to the audience.
No more mopping.
No more mopping.
We have a right.
We want to work. We want to work.
Enter Honey and Gloria. Honey is astonished.
Thought I was coming back to work.
You are back at work. Only this time, we're demanding changes.
We've got a right to work on the line.
We can make the weapons just like all the whites.
We have the right to work on the line.
We have the right to those jobs.
I just want to come back to work.
Cheryl steps out from the white workers and joins the black workers in protest. Gloria joins the protest. Honey just freezes in place.
Hey, welcome back.
Cheryl hands Honey a flyer.
Union meeting coming up.
Cheryl joins the protest. The white workers are astonished at this display. One black worker stands on the sidelines with Honey.
Let us work on the line.
Let us work on the line.
Union, union, union.
Protesters circle the stage. Honey backs away and turns around to the audience. One black actress who has not joined the protesters and one white actress approach Honey.
Ain't gonna do nothing but cause trouble for the rest of us.
Honey nods in agreement.
We're all working for the same victory, right? What difference does it make what job you're given?
Gloria steps out from the protest, pulls Honey aside.
Come on, Honey. Join us. Join us.
I just want to work whatever job they give me.
Mopping the floors and serving in the cafeteria? We have to stand up, Honey. President Roosevelt says we're supposed to be working the assembly lines.
Don't want to cause no trouble, that's all. What if the boss turns on us and we get hurt or thrown out?
You're too scared to stand up for yourself?
Y'all just come down here from the north thinking you can just change everything like poof. Anybody in that crowd of whites could maybe see me, get word out and hurt my family. You got no idea what danger is. You got no idea.
Your own brother's out there protesting and working for the union.
Just leave me be.
You mean leave you to be a maid? Because that's what you're comfortable with? Leave you to be Honey with your head bowed down?
I don't make trouble.
Trouble. Make trouble or not, trouble always finds us. It's called being alive. Whether you learn to look trouble straight in the eye, that's up to you.
What if it all goes wrong?
What if it does? At least we know we refuse to be stomped back down.
Just don't see myself doing this.
Oh, and how do you see yourself? that you just deserve all the burdens that life puts on you? Is that how you see yourself?
Gloria rejoins the protest. Honey remains frozen in front of the audience. Protest continues. Two actors cross to a separate space and become Mr. Dupree and Mr. Rusk. They hold up newspapers.
First the Negro papers, and now we got the Post-Dispatch running the story.
Gus, we can't be seen to find the president, not at this time. Once we win the war, we'll go back to how we do things in our city.
Colored and white workers using the same restrooms? Oh boy, get ready for your phone ringing off the hook.
Honey circles and crisscrosses the stage as if taking a long walk by herself.
What do I deserve in this life? Always scared, always scared. Is me being scared inside all the time ruining my life? What do I deserve in this life? What do I want for myself? Who is Honey Hoop?
Meanwhile, on their side of the stage, the chorus lets out a shout of victory.
We want our demands, everybody.
Lights up on Clyde's apartment. The chorus turns into slightly tipsy, happy guests at a party. Honey and Ben stand separate from the chorus. Here comes the bride, here comes the bride. Clyde and Gloria enter the applause and cheering. Honey hugs Clyde and Gloria kisses them both on the cheek.
So wonderful to see you two so happy.
Finding me a better union, then on top of that, finding me the best woman. Damn, if I ain't the luckiest guy.
To tell the truth, everybody, if this lucky so-and-so hadn't kept fighting for the union, I would have been quits. It would have been quits for us.
Guess I better keep my union card where I can pull it out anytime.
Everyone laughs and claps, and they all start dancing. Ben shyly offers his hand to Honey. She takes it.
Ben, you look like you're doing well.
And you always look like you're teaching beautiful how to be beautiful.
Honey obviously has no answer. Both are awkward. They dance briefly, then move to the porch of the stage as if moving to a back porch. Lights up on back porch. Ben holds onto Honey's hand. They sit quietly, neither knowing quite how to begin.
Honey, fine. If that's how you feel, then I respect it.
No. That's not. I need you to know that I'm still working to piece out who I am and who I am to myself as a soul to this world. And
Enter Emery. His one arm has been amputated at the elbow. Honey and Ben startle with surprise.
Emery? Lieutenant McLean?
Lieutenant.
The men shake hands. Ben, though cordial, is obviously threatened by Emery's presence.
Welcome back.
Great to be back.
It's obvious that Honey and Ben are staring at Emery's arm.
Happened in Sicily. Was lucky this was all that happened to me. Lost the rest of my platoon.
You definitely deserve the medal you must have got.
Definitely.
I'm still alive. That's all the medal I need. You don't seem like the same Miss Honey Hoop who I met back in September.
Oh, I'm turning further and further away from the Honey Hoop you met back then.
Oh. Just so you know, my brother Leroy Bobo was arrested in a street fight up in Chicago.
Arrested?
Killed a guy. Now he's looking at 20 years. Damn it.
Emery indicates his injury.
Clyde just got married.
Emery eagerly exits to join the party. Awkward silence between Ben and Honey. Ben starts to move off.
Well, I got a funeral to see too.
And wait, you don't need to be. Lieutenant Emery's just a friend.
Give Clyde my congratulations.
Ben, wait.
Ben tips his hat and dashes off. We hear Big Mama's voice.
Lord have mercy. Where's my son and the bride?
Lights up on Clyde's apartment. Big Mama enters the party. Honey rejoins the party.
Mama, we told you to be at the courthouse at noon on the dot.
I got children all over the house. You know how it is. Besides, if it had been a for real church wedding.
Big Mama and Honey lock eyes.
How you doing, Mama?
A long pause as everyone waits to see how Big Mama will react. And then she grabs Honey in her arms. Everyone is relieved.
It's not like I don't love you, but I just needed to.
First, you saw fit to go help take care of Miss Palmer, and then still couldn't come back to the house she was raised in.
It's not that. Well, I'm way grown.
Anyways, I've so missed my bestest child.
Thanks a lot, Ma.
Boy, hush.
She turns to Gloria.
Welcome to the family.
She immediately turns back to Honey.
Where's Ben?
He had a funeral to see too.
Tomorrow, you off from the factory?
Well, yes.
What's up? Me and Gloria are going to take a boat ride up to the Mississippi to celebrate.
That's okay. All I need is Honey and Ben.
What for, Mama?
Cheryl runs in.
Hey, everybody, there's a protest down at the phone company.
Clyde, Gloria, and Cheryl run out and immediately join up with a circling protest line made up of chorus members. Lights up on the protest line.
Hire more Negroes.
We use the phone too.
Hire more Negroes.
We use the phone too.
And desegregate the restrooms for the workers.
Desegregate. Desegregate.
Honey appears on the side of the protesters. She slowly joins in with the protesters.
Hire more Negroes.
We use the phone too.
Ben appears. Honey crosses to greet him. Protesters continue marching and miming their words. Ben and Honey lock eyes with shy smiles.
Honey.
And what a sweet surprise.
Heard there was a commotion going on downtown here.
I've been reading more than I ever have.
Heard color women now working on the assembly lines.
Working right alongside a white woman, and that's because of the union. But I was scared. I was scared then to join the fight.
Honey and Ben watch the protesters.
Hire more Negroes.
We use the phone too.
Hire more Negroes.
We use the phone too.
We do use the phone as much as they do.
Ben offers her his arm and they join in the protest. Mr. and Mrs. Dupree enter, looking on at the protesters.
I blame the war. If it wasn't for the war, we wouldn't be in this turmoil. And to see white people joining them, at least the army stays segregated. That we can always count on.
Our way of life they're trying to take from us. How would they like it if we disrupted their way of doing things?
Suddenly, Honey and Ben almost collide with the Duprees, a locked stare. The Duprees are flabbergasted. Honey struggles for a bit to stop shivering. Ben locks arms with her. He tips his hat ironically.
Ms. Dupree? Mr. Dupree?
Ben tips his hat as he and Honey continue in the protest.
We use the phone too.
We use the phone too.
We
We use the phone too. We use the phone too.
Crossfade into the town meeting, St. Louis Hilton Hotel. Mr. Rusk steps forward along with Mr. Dupree.
Okay, everybody, settle down. Let's call this meeting to order.
First of all, are we going to be forced to integrate the playground on the edge of our neighborhood? As a concerned citizen,
We're all concerned citizens.
concerned citizens who are sacrificing our sons' lives.
Trust us, the city council has been in session all day. We're developing strategies to deal with the problem. Mayor Kaufman is in full agreement with us.
The town hall meeting freezes in place. Lights up on Ben Boston's car interior. Chorus moves modular units in place to simulate the front of a seat car. The front seat of a car. Big Mama, Honey, and Ben all sit in the front seat. Ben mimes driving.
Mama, I just don't know about us being out here.
This here ad means what it says. House for sale for colored family.
Sometimes these private brokers are double dealing and just plain trying to do anything to make a buck.
Ben's right, Mama.
Nonsense. We hoops making enough money now from the defense plans for us to get us a larger place to live. So why not?
Why we need to live outside the Negro neighborhood?
Big Mama waves the ad.
Yes, it says for a colored family, but everybody knows that Mount Vernon Street is...
White chorus members surround Ben's car, very inquisitive expressions on their face. Honey, Ben, and Big Mama stare out apprehensive.
First of all, these are poor white families out here. Look around you. They're gonna ask too much money up front, then move in more Negro families, crowd the poor whites out, and make more money off us. That's gain.
There go the address. Look at that big, pretty house. 2 stories with an attic. No more cramping, everybody.
Looks to me like it needs a whole lot of fixing up.
Ben parks his car.
Stay close to me. Everybody get out of my side of the car.
They slowly climb out of Ben's car. The white's face turned hostile, ugly. Honey and Big Mama clutch onto Ben, who protectively holds them close.
We do have a right to at least look at the place. Decide if we want it.
Made it to the front porch, y'all. See?
The hostile whites follow close behind them. Suddenly, they taunt.
Filthy niggers, get out of here. Get back to them filthy caves in Africa where you come from.
White mob starts making ape and monkey sounds. Ben turns to Honey and Big Mama around.
Back to Africa, ape man, and take your ape squaws with you.
Ben, don't try to fight them. It's too many of them.
But there's a war on. We all fighting the same enemy together, ain't we?
Ben opens car door and protectively guides first Big Mama and then Honey, who turns to him.
You're the real man here, not them. You don't have to fight them to prove anything to me.
Mob member spits at Ben. Ben squares off, locking eyes with the man who has spit. White police officer appears.
Oh, okie dokie, everybody, calm down. You niggers clear out of here.
Honey and Ben grip hands.
Ben, start the car. You heard the police. Let's skedaddle.
Lights up on Big Mama's back porch. We hear a radio.
For those of you just tuning in, our Allied forces have attacked German positions at Normandy, off the northern coast of France. That's the way it is. June 6th, 1944. Stand by as we continue to bring you the latest developments.
Radio goes silent. Ben paces back and forth. Enter Honey.
How's Big Mama doing?
I put her to bed with a hot toddy. She'll sleep through the night. Turned off the radio. She doesn't need to hear no news.
Yeah, after all she's been through already, and then have to go through that this afternoon.
Yep, it's a shame.
And you, how are you?
I feel woke up. Like I've been new baptized. Expected maybe some hard looks or something, but never no mob. Now I know I've been living inside a cage that I just took for granted.
The cage for colored folks in this town is full to bursting.
Their faces was like snarling dogs, but I could stand there and not be too scared, knowing I was standing right alongside.
As long as I'm standing on God's green earth, I want to be right alongside you.
She leans into him, touching his face.
Ben, love.
Call me that again.
Ben, love.
What about Emery?
Emery, I do like him coming back to see me more in charge of my life. I'm working for the CIO, but the CIO was all Emery's dedicated to, the union, and traveling all across the country week after week for the union. Want a man who sees honey, wants honey, union or no union.
But I thought...
You're so tender to me, Ben, love. Don't you think I see it?
They kiss passionately. Lights up on union meeting. Gloria stands on module as if on a podium. The chorus claps. Gloria's in the middle of the speech.
Let's welcome Emery back to St. Louis.
Emery waves to everyone.
Greetings from Detroit, Cleveland, Kansas City, Seattle. Our CIO union is growing and growing.
Emery reaches over and shakes hands with Ben.
Now, let's hear from someone new.
Gloria searches the crowd.
My sister-in-law, Honey Hoop, come on up here and just what's on your heart?
Honey startles at first, and then Gloria grabs her, hugging her. Honey stands at the podium.
Sometimes I feel like I never lived in this town till I put on slacks.
Laughter and clapping from the crowd.
You women out there remember where we came from. Caps and aprons and yes ma'am, no ma'am, and always being afraid of being dismissed. If this or that wasn't dusted right or cooked right, then the CIO comes along and says to us, we got the right to do jobs in the factories and we can stand up for ourselves. And the president, who we gon' re-elect, he found a way to be fair to us. We won jobs with whites working alongside them and fighting union right alongside us. For the first time in my whole life, I've come to be proud of the color of my skin and the woman I'm starting to be. Union, union.
The chorus joins Honey shouting, union, clapping, cheering. Honey notices someone in the crowd, suddenly recognizing Dorothy Jane Palmer.
Dorothy Jane Palmer.
Dorothy offers her hand. Honey shakes it.
Yep, it's me, Miss Hoop.
You can still call me honey, and thank you for the respect. But what you doing?
I'm on spring break, doing a term paper on labor unions. The race relations between white and Negro women on the job. You're one of the ones I'm told I need to interview.
Say what? Knock me over with a feather.
I just had no idea things were so unjust for Negro people. Honey, I've been so ignorant.
My, I never thought none of this was anything you'd be wanting to find out about.
I know what you thought of me.
I'll always hold a heap of respect for your father.
Guess I'm starting to carry my daddy's torch.
Who are you now? Well, come, let me introduce you to my fiance. Hold on, he's speaking right now.
Ben stands on a module. He reads from a booklet.
Quoting from the 1934 Federal Housing Administration's Underwriting Manual, and I quote, "A realtor should never be instrumental in introducing into a neighborhood members of any race or nationality or any individuals whose presence will clearly be detrimental to property values in that neighborhood." That's what we're up against.
Lights up on a city street. Chorus becomes pedestrians. Honey addresses the audience. She takes flyers from the prop table. Gloria stands on opposite side of the stage, holding flyers as well to the audience.
Afternoon. My name is Honey Hoop, and I am canvassing for Roosevelt.
Afternoon. I'm Gloria Hoop. Remember, we all got to vote Roosevelt for 1944.
Gloria will continue to mime handing out flyers on her side of the stage.
My family, we only vote Republican.
I know. We colored folks have always voted Republican since Lincoln was a Republican.
That's right, Republican.
But now we got to turn to the Democrats.
Them Southern Dixie Democrats lynch our people down south. What you mean, vote Democrat?
Whose federal order desegregated these factories? Roosevelt's. That's how we got the jobs we got now.
Suddenly, Big Mama approaches Honey.
Girl, what you doing out here on the streets, stirring up trouble?
Mama, I'm assigned to the streets and 6 more streets over. Political Action Committee, getting out the vote.
Girl, this ain't like you to be out here in front of everybody like this, making yourself look foolish.
Mama, maybe you don't have no idea what I'm like or not like.
How come you gotta be so contrary? What's gotten into you?
Honey approaches another pedestrian from the chorus.
Hi, I'm Honey Hoop. Read this, please. Why we gotta vote Democrat in November? Re-elect Roosevelt.
Honey continues to hand out pamphlets.
Republicans, Party of Lincoln. That's what I've been since women got the vote back in 1920. Lincoln freed your granddaddy, freed from bondage.
Honey continues to hand out pamphlets.
These here Republicans ain't the Party of Lincoln no more. We gotta vote for the man who made the white folks hire us.
Vote for Roosevelt, the man who issued Executive Order 8802.
And did you know that at first Lincoln only freed the Confederate slaves only? Learn that from Marie.
Honey and Gloria approach other pedestrians. Big Mama looks on with disapproval.
What are the Republicans doing for us here in St. Louis, except for keeping us down?
And Republicans want to cut the New Deal that's been providing us with the jobs we need. You want that to happen?
Pedestrian passes. Honey boldly grabs hold of them, handing them a pamphlet.
Excuse me, I'm Honey Who? On your way to your shift?
Maybelle Carter, worked the Army ammo plant.
Maybelle, remember how you got that job? Vote Roosevelt.
Lights up on Dupree's study. Mr. Dupree and Mr. Rusk appear in a separate spot on the stage.
What's this nonsense now? The Negroes vote the way we've always told them to vote.
Dupree holds up a newspaper.
Well, according to this, things are not going according to plan.
You read the Negro papers?
Hell, I'll read Egyptian hieroglyphics if it helps my business. Roosevelt supplied all these war jobs. Now Roosevelt's their new savior?
All this working alongside whites, the blacks now don't know their place.
Which we warned Palmer would happen. You just can't give inferior people too much leeway.
And now he's dead, and we're losing votes. Okay. It's simple. Beat Roosevelt.
Lights up on Ben Boston's house. The chorus cheers and claps. Enter Honey wearing a lovely corsage and a pin on veil. She is arm in arm with Ben. Clyde, wearing a turban, enters with a 1940s era portable camera, takes a photo of the smiling couple, and Ben and Honey kiss. The chorus cheers on again. Clyde claps Ben on the back. Gloria kisses Honey on the cheek. Here comes the bride, here comes the bride.
Well, brother-in-law, we got us a pair of no-nonsense, independent women.
You got that right. Right, Honey?
Honey and Ben are totally immersed in each other's eyes. Emery approaches, addresses Ben and Honey.
Congratulations, bride and groom. May I kiss the bride?
Yes, you may.
Emery kisses Honey as Ben watches. Emery nods and crosses over to Clyde. Honey turns to Ben.
Ben, love, there's nothing to doubt about us.
Sweetheart, guess it's still taking me a while to believe that I'm not dreaming.
Mama joins everyone.
Well, sir, talk about answered prayers. A new daughter-in-law and a new son-in-law.
Clyde raises his glass in a toast.
And we got Roosevelt reelected.
All except Big Mama raise their glasses.
Finally, Negroes let go of this Lincoln freed us nonsense.
Big Mama points to Clyde's turban.
Son, what is that on your head?
Tom Johnson joins Clyde in laughter.
Ready, Tom?
As soon as you are.
Be back for the party. Meanwhile,
They got to go to the Ambassador Hotel, union negotiating meeting with the city council.
Union, union, union. But why you got this silly thing on your head?
We insist on Clyde using the hotel lobby and the main elevators and the hotel cafeteria.
But that's all whites only.
but if you look like a visitor from overseas, then St. Louis wants to show they're extra polite.
Clyde, Tom, and Emery exit laughing as Ben pulls Honey aside to a private spot on stage.
Mrs. Boston, got me a plan for something. Come Wednesday, you're gonna have an extra special wedding gift.
What you up to, mister?
He holds her smile. They touch foreheads. Lights up on Mr. Lane's office. Ben and Mr. Lane cross over to the separate space and stand in Mr. Lane's office. Ben offers his hand.
Mr. Lane, Benjamin Boston.
Mr. Lane does not shake Ben's hand.
My properties are double the market price.
Of course they are. Here's cash as requested for 5 houses, especially for the houses on the corner of Mount Vernon and Monroe. Last year, me, my wife, and my mother-in-law were attacked right in front.
How'd you people come across so much money?
We have our own business associations and business owners, same as you do, same as you people do.
5 houses. Let me guess. So you'll have 5 families move in altogether.
More safety in numbers. Plus, our color papers report on any action taken against us.
Ooh, y'all are slick, aren't you?
We got the right to live wherever we choose. Got Negro men overseas fighting and dying for that right.
Spare me the sermon. Y'all just pulling a stunt in wartime and getting away with it.
You the one selling me the houses.
I'm a businessman. It's my business to profit off of fools.
Better count your cash. Make sure I'm not cheating you.
Mr. Lane methodically counts the cash. Lights up on the Dupree living room. Mrs. Dupree fans herself and sips her tea. Mr. Dupree walks in.
That was Sterling on the phone.
Gus, what is it? Sit, just settle down.
That nigger undertaker Benjamin Boston and his so-called association.
Take deep breaths. 1, 2.
We've got covenants against this sort of thing. Every city in every state across this goddamn country has covenants against this type of takeover.
Gus, darling, I'm not having you have a second heart attack, so calm down.
Bad enough that that crippled socialist gets reelected into the office.
Darling, what did Sterling say?
That niggers refuse to sell us back the houses, even at double the price, which is double what they already paid.
Ridiculous. But then, when do darkies ever make any sense?
First, they invade the streetcars.
Which is exactly why I don't ride them. The very thought of some black buck trying to sit next to me turns my stomach.
And then the factories forcing our white workers to have to put up with working right alongside them.
At least we held back on them invading the Tucker Street playground.
True. And at least the city council did hold the line on any more funds wasted on their crappy schools. But now they're after our very neighborhoods.
So we all meet together as homeowners and we figure out a solution to the problem.
Exactly what I'm planning to do. But how to come up with a peaceful strategy that won't involve hoodlums.
If you ask me, they're the hoodlums.
I refuse to stand up for my two boys coming back from this bloody war to find that their father has given in and given up our traditions. I won't stand for it.
Gus, calm down.
My ancestors were some of the original settlers in this territory.
Gus, breathe. Just breathe.
Anyone who wants to can go right on over to the historical museum and see my ancestors listed.
Yes, dear. But what do we do about the problem?
I blame Palmer for this. Not to speak ill of the dead, but he's the one who convinced us to cave into that Roosevelt last year. The only reason Palmer got that citizenship award was because the governor forced us.
Palmer. Lillian Palmer.
Oh, poor Lillian. Not her fault she was married to that gutless liberal.
No, Lillian is our solution. Our peaceful solution.
Darling, you are not making any sense.
Now that our Mabel has gone off into the factories, who's cooking and cleaning for us? Mabel's mother.
Sweetheart, stop being so mysterious.
Sadie was crowing on and on to me the other day about how her neighborhood undertaker, Mr. Ben Boston, has just been married to.
Why bring this up now?
The new bride is Lillian's ex-maid, the one with the funny name, who's so devoted to Lillian. Remember how she gave up 3 months of her life to care for Lillian and never asked for anything extra? You see, Lillian will ask for a favor from the maid. The undertaker will need to please his wife, and we will have a calm and peaceful and reasonable solution.
Lights up on St. Louis Zoo. Sounds of various zoo animals. Ben and Clyde stand together eating popcorn. Enter Tom, who waves to them as he approaches.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the St. Louis Zoo.
Tom looks around.
It's about the size of what we have in Pittsburgh. Strange place to call a meeting.
Why not be out in the fresh air on a Sunday day like this? Honey used to bring me out here with her on Sundays sometimes. We just take the streetcar just to get away.
Born and raised in this town, I never thought I'd come to the zoo. Them caged up lions pacing back and forth, and them caged tigers.
Waiting for their keepers to feed them.
Yeah, that's my point. They gotta wait on the keepers.
Elephants and giraffes over there allowed what freedom there is.
Freedom and cages. You right, brother-in-law. This is just the right place for us to have lunch.
Why are people staring at us?
Strange to see black men and white men just strolling together like friends.
It feels like we're on exhibit to show what's possible.
Maybe it's possible. One thing for sure, color been coming back from this here war. They know more about freedom over there. Gonna have a lot more demands.
So let's get down to it. What's the word from the Pittsburgh National Office?
Suddenly we hear Gloria's voice.
Hey, gentlemen. Thought I'd never find you. What's the word from Pittsburgh National Office? They're gonna support us?
Get ready to be disappointed. Sorry to say, the national office wants us to concentrate on the factory workers, Negro and white. They won't get involved in housing discrimination for the time being.
So our own union fails us.
On the national level, at this point, I'm sorry to say you're correct.
There's so much for working together hand in hand.
Listen, I will be there to protest, and we will have some white union people joining us.
A handful.
If that's what we got for now, then we'll take it.
Look to the future. It's what we always say at the meetings, right? Faith in the future.
A trumpeting elephant is heard.
Hey, you say it, buddy.
All the fear and the downright hate and dividing us. Is this country ever gonna make it?
Like you say, hope for the future.
Tom looks out at the audience.
People staring at us now. Maybe by the time our grandkids come along, it won't be so strange.
One more thing. If we do march on Mount St. Vernon Street this weekend and white workers join us, we Negroes decide what's what. You take direction from us.
Understood.
Come on. I want to stare down them lions. Let them know that I know what they're feeling.
Transition sound. The loud ring of a phone. Lights up on Honey in spotlight in her room, speaking into her phone receiver.
Mrs. Palmer?
Lights up on the Dupree living room. Mr. and Mrs. Dupree greet Mrs. Palmer. The women kiss each other on the cheek. Mrs. Dupree holds a tray of cocktails, and they each take one.
Lillian, you're such a dear to come on such a short notice.
Anything I can do to help, Nancy. Anything I can do.
And what are we without our dearest friends?
Andrew used to say that all the time.
Hope you haven't had dinner. I booked a table for us all at the club.
Oh, we'll take care of this business and then we'll go out and celebrate.
Dupree offers a toast as they sip their cocktails.
To our boys fighting for our freedom.
To our
boys.
Lights up on Ben Boston's car interior. Evening. Honey and Ben sit side by side. Ben is in the driver's seat. Honey is in the passenger seat. They hold hands. They are tense.
Sweetheart, you're trembling. Please, let me come in there with you.
Ben, love, this is for me to do all by myself. Don't want you taking care of me because I'm helpless. That's not the kind of marriage I want.
Well, let me at least come to the front door and wait.
It took me months and months before I found out that I could stand up in front of folks and speak to a crowd.
Gloria steps out from the chorus and calls out to Honey in the background, which is to say in her mind. Gloria steps back into the chorus.
And you tap deep into that well. You hear? I'll be waiting right here.
They kiss and Honey slowly crosses to the other half of the stage, ringing the doorbell.
Why is she? She knows to ring the back door, not the front.
I'm sure there must be some explanation.
Lillian, we'll be right here within reach if you need moral support.
I'm sure that won't be necessary. Honey and I have a wonderful understanding. We'll straighten all this out.
Spotlight on Mrs. Palmer and the Duprees facing Honey, as if having opened the front door. Honey steps through into the vestibule of the Dupree house.
Honey, how wonderful to see you.
It's Mrs. Boston now, Miss Palmer. Mr. Dupree, Mrs. Dupree.
Congratulations on your nuptials.
Well, thank you, Miss Dupree. And now that I'm being educated, I know the meaning of that word and I can spell it.
Come on, Nancy. Let's let Lillian and Honey.
Mrs. Boston.
I'm sure you two can reach an understanding.
Mr. and Mrs. Dupree exit. Mrs. Palmer and Honey face each other.
Honey, it's just wonderful to see you. Why haven't you come to visit me? Love to show you my new apartment.
My name is Mrs. Boston, Miss Palmer. Say it, Mrs. Palmer. Mrs. Boston.
Are you shivering?
A well of strength.
Excuse me? Dorothy Jane tells me you're doing so well.
Dorothy Jane's enjoying working with the unions.
My daughter is going through a phase. She'll actually get married one day, and that will be the end of it.
I don't blame you.
I'm sorry?
For thinking you could talk me into asking my husband to let Mr. Dupree buy back them houses.
My dear, think of the consequences. There could be a riot or any kind of disturbance.
It might be.
I'm sure you and Mr. Boston can use that money, and the rest of the investors, your Negro investors, can use our offer to buy even better places elsewhere.
Elsewhere, places where colored people belong.
You see, everyone will benefit. If Mr. Palmer were living, he'd want you to.
Who knows what he would want? He's dead.
That was not very kind.
Mrs. Palmer, you never thanked me.
No idea what you mean.
For giving up 3 months of my life last year to care for you day and night.
I'm sure I thanked you.
There I was feeling so low about myself, and all I could think about was caring for you, never mind caring for myself.
My dear, if I didn't then, I do now. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. But now, back to Mr. Dupree buying back the houses.
You're thinking you can just ask me here and I'll just do whatever you want?
Now, honey.
I'm not your honey. I'm Mrs. Boston.
Mrs. Boston, Mr. Palmer and I helped your family when you were all in dire circumstances.
My brother's right.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
You and Mr. Palmer helping my family don't chain us to a lifetime of debt.
Honey, Mrs. Boston, I must say I'm quite hurt by your rudeness.
I gave up 4 months of my life. Quit my factory job because I was so low, and all I could think of was to care for you.
And I tell you, I'm grateful.
You didn't pay me no higher wages for time spent, did you?
What is this? This is
union talk. That's what.
Mr. Palmer and I always accepted you as one of our family.
And then you turned around, announced you were moving into a hotel, and just left me out on the street.
I took care to try and find a new position for you.
A maid's position.
Of course, a maid's position.
It's respectable work. Nothing wrong with being a maid. Trouble is, when you look at me, that's all you see.
Dupree and Mrs. Dupree come rushing out.
All right, enough of this, enough. Since we have to go to court and appeal this matter, that's what we'll do.
Well, everyone, I'll be saying goodnight. And I will be using the front door since I'm Honey Hoop Boston, not Mrs. Palmer's honey.
Lights up on Mount Vernon Street 2 days later. Chorus becomes a circle of respectfully marching protesters. Some wave many American flags.
We deserve housing of our own. We deserve housing of our own.
Honey steps out from the protest line. She turns to the audience.
That was 1944 and 45, the war ended. The men came back from overseas and the jobs we women had went back to the men. A lot of them, but not all. But the idea of what a woman's place should be in this world could never go back to what it was before the war. Workers' rights. I do believe that this is where we learn the courage to fight the fights that came in years to follow. When all of us courageous Blacks, courageous whites, desegregated this whole town top to bottom. So, this is the story I tell my grandchildren and my greats. The years of 1943 to 1945, when I was hired to work in the defense plant, building weapons for the war and building my strength inside myself. Oh, and my Vernon house is still the pride of my family.
She smiles, offers her hand to the audience.
How do you do? My name is Honey Hoop Boston. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Fade out. End of play.
And this is the curtain call. And I know everybody's at home going like this. Yay! Woo, 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 woo. Great job, y'all. Awesome. Yes, yes, you deserve all the applause that you're getting from all around the world. Thank you all so much. We're going to have our playwright join us in a minute, but let me see, make sure she's on her way. But I was wondering if you all had anything. I was looking to see if anybody had any questions for the actor. Everybody's saying wonderful, you all. The comments on YouTube, strong cast. Oh my goodness, they're just loving the emotion that you put into it. I mean, all these things that you all did so beautifully, lifting those words off the page and bringing them to life. Any comments from any of you all as I wait for, oh, there's Ms. Medley, but do you all have any comments or anything, cast? Comments or questions for Ms. Medley before we open up to other questions? These are, so I want people watching to know this is a group of performers who are very distinguished professionals in this field. And so this whole pandemic has been interesting for all of us, right? As far as we had an after party after our rehearsal the other night, and some of the conversation was about what is this now? You know, do we call it theater? What do we call this? You know, it's different. It's different now. So we are still grappling with that. And I'm glad to have these group of artists in my life who we can continue to ask these questions and figure out what we're doing now. So you all, thank you again. You were phenomenal. I just loved this. This was great. I want to introduce to everyone our playwright. Before I say that, before I introduce Cassandra, I need to thank our Joe the intern who acted as our tech guy. Joe the intern got a promotion from intern to like production coordinator, technical manager. I don't know. He's everything. So Joe, we thank you. Great work. Yay, yay. So I want to introduce to you all Ms. Cassandra Medley, who is our playwright. She is in New York City. I got to meet her some years ago. I just think her work is just so lovely. I saw a play of hers at the Black Rep some years back. She had a play called Relativity that I absolutely fell in love with. And so about 6 years ago, I was able to take some classes with her in New York. And 2 years ago, brought her to SIUE to work with my students. So the fact that we got Cassandra to come and commission this work is pretty phenomenal. So thank you so much, Cassandra, for your work. And this is a first read. I'll remind folks out there in YouTube land, this is a first read. And we usually do this with just actors and pencils and paper and, you know, and it's not usually this public. So it's really interesting. So Cassandra, thank you. Welcome into the space. You can unmute yourself. And Joan is back too. Joan Suarez, our founder.
Yeah.
Did you want to say anything?
I want to thank everyone. It was wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. We've not met. I'm so pleased, and I loved your work. Everyone. You really brought the play to life. Thank you, thank you.
Thank
and
you. Thank
director, and stage man, everybody. Bread and Roses, this has been a wonderful experience and very fun to write. So thank you.
Great. We have some questions on here. So just to remind you all, this is a production that'll be done in February of 2021. My connection is kind of so you raise your hand if I'm chopping up. Someone wanted to know, how did you decide to live stream what usually happens around a table? That was for Cassandra, the playwright, because it was up to her. How did you decide to let this happen in such a public way?
I wanted to hear it out loud, and I felt confident about it in a different way than I usually approach my own private work, because this is based on a novel. So the structure is going to be the structure. And so I didn't have that to think about in terms of revision or it being so raw. It didn't feel so raw to me as a first draft of my own work. So why not?
I appreciate that. I love that. In this day and age, why not? Let's try it. Let's go for it. So thank you so much. I have another question. It's rave reviews. Excellent reading, someone says. I would love to know what Cass's favorite takeaway from the virtual format is. Thank you so much for including us in your process. So from seeing this virtually, what's your takeaway from this process?
My favorite, I hadn't seen in other readings. It was hard to sometimes in other Zoom readings. It's difficult to see who's doing what. And so I liked the choice where you choose specific screens, and the screens on the screen were the actors that were in that scene, period. And so it was easier to follow in that way. And that was my favorite takeaway. But to see it's always to see the characters brought to life in flesh and blood.
Right.
It's great. It's always fun.
Great. Yeah, that's a feature on YouTube. Joe found that out. It will just, for anybody out there who's wanting to do this in the future, because I think we all need to start figuring out how to best do this if this is going to be our life for a little bit. So if you're going to do it live, you can connect Zoom to YouTube and to Facebook. And Joe found that Facebook had more glitches than YouTube, and it just automatically puts whoever's speaking on the screen, which is really cool. Somebody asked, can you clarify the pressures on Bobo that bring him to stab Mr. Palmer?
Yeah, well, that's a question that the actor who read Bobo, you want to contribute? Hi, your wonderful work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
So why did you murder Mr. Palmer?
For my particular interpretation was it that he had already had his grievance as far as the maltreatment as a Black man going through this. And so I think the psychological turmoil of that then versus it's almost when he met his brother, it was that opportunity to see himself in a different way, but not as he sees himself, but the self that he wanted to see, the self that he wanted to accomplish. So you add that additional fuel to the fire of this white man. I'm already feeling a sense of feeling degraded, belittled as a man, and you're snatching this thing away from me. And this, even though it was not exactly intentional for Mr. Palmer was not trying to have it escalate to that degree. But again, for me, I have this thing just about human tolerance, because you can say one thing, but you don't know what's in my head, what I'm processing from my moment before. So I just think that honestly, Mr. Palmer just got caught up in the crossfire of the internal battle that Bobo was already having.
That was exactly my intention.
Yay.
And the novel, I must say, one of the strong things about the novel is that it's the brother. It's the appearance of the brother who got so much more and is doing, it already, and then the brother, the woman he wants is attracted to, so it was really provoking all this other stuff that had built up in him. So to the person who asked that question, that was my intention, that I was very appreciative of using from the book.
Right.
And for anybody, this is based on a novel, so.
Yes. Is this play still in process? Might there be changes between tonight's reading and the live production? That's a question.
Everybody that's ever, the actors, you're just meeting me, but Catherine knows, anybody who's ever worked with me, there are always changes.
I told her she can keep changing. She can keep changing up until the first day of rehearsal, and then I'm gonna be like,
yeah. Well, I've had directors say to me, enough, and I just wanted, it would be up to opening night, and I like, well, give me, So yes, this is the first draft of 10 private drafts, right?
Yeah,
that's how we went. Yeah.
Great. Okay, there's another, well, someone said, when the pandemic is over, this play will be extremely important in addressing the history, especially as there is a huge disparity in who can and cannot remain safe. Anybody, it was a comment, wasn't a question, but any comments on that?
Will you repeat that, Kathy?
Yes, is my internet,
No, you good. It's just processing, just reprocessing.
when the pandemic is over, this play will be extremely important in addressing the history, especially as there is a huge disparity in who can and cannot remain safe.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if there's anyone have any comment on that. I think everybody is.
Yeah, I was struck by how connected this 1943, the novel is to what we're doing right now, where we're at with the inequities, and it's right in front of our face, and the thing about privilege and who can live where, and how little we've changed this country, and so
yeah.
Anything else on that? Another person said that the actors and actresses have captured their attention. This play highlights systemic turmoil and relationship turmoils, how racial inequality tears apart the very fabric of society. So that also wasn't a question, but speaks to what this play is about. Will you be integrating the use of slides in the background earlier in the production? Would be powerful. We got some folks that have visions for the play. That's great. Possibly. That's a possibility. We might be multimedia. We probably need a few more donations to make that work go. Somebody else said, great lines. Trouble being part of life, watching Honey struggling with her evolving identity. I think they were just relating to Honey and Honey's evolution. Let's talk about that for a minute. Because I've read the play several times before we did this, but as a group, we've only read it through once. And so tonight I heard it with different ears, hearing it hearing it all at once for the first time. But so there are two evolutions, I thought. Ben, I thought was interesting in the way he changed. Dorothy, there are three. And Honey, it's just interesting to see how those characters, I love how Ben is around Honey. He was a certain way, but then when he got Honey, he was it Mr. Rusk or Tom? He was like, look, you're going to do what I say. I love that line. You know what I'm talking about, Ben?
That's my favorite line.
I love that. Because
I love that one. It's like, you're gonna stand in line, you're going to do what we say.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's real. Yeah. So this, so about any of those characters, if you want to talk about your journey for any of those characters. Anybody? Ben, Honey, Dorothy. I think Honey popped off of the meeting for a minute, but yeah, that if you want to talk about that, Cassandra, at all.
That's the evolution. Evolution is I think the basic theme of the book and of the play. Mm-hmm. And that this woman who is Honey and Ben, and this notion of union, becoming an activist, coming from a certain mindset for Honey, and then evolving to another mindset and more confident, finding herself as an activist and as a woman, her own woman, her own individual woman's self. And then Ben, I loved Ben, and it was a challenge to condense it from the novel. And that he's very shy and he can't think of, and then
I just want to tell you that's how I'm cast all the time. I'm always that shy person. So thank you for typecasting me.
Greg, I am so sorry. I was talking to Joel, and Joel's like, I'm always got to play this crazy. I'm like, I'm sorry, I should have cast y'all against type. I'm sorry.
Oh,
fine.
I really
so
I'm
sorry.
always playing the good guy. I'm always playing the good guy. So
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
You got dimples too, right, Carl? It's the dimples. That's what it is. Yep.
I do. It's the
Yep.
Look, I knew that with little rehearsal you could bring it. So I appreciate you. When we do the production, I'll hire you to play the opposite of yourself. All actors want to play opposite of who they're casting. So that's what we'll do. I have another comment. Somebody says, I was lucky to meet Cassandra Medley years ago while working at a residency. I'm happy to be following her latest work, and it makes up for the fact that I haven't seen anything else. This is great. Laudam.
Well, tell them to send me a text me or something.
If you're still listening, Cassandra said text her. Somebody said strong cast. Thank you all. Clapping loudly. Oh, this was at the end. I didn't. Wonderful, heartfelt acting. I was there for every moment. Terrific script, great stage manager, beautiful voices, clear, powerful characters. Can't wait to see more. Jay Gibson. Brava. Thank you, Joe. Thank you all. Clapping loudly. Gorgeous cast. Wonderful to hear Ms. Medley in conversation with the cast. Okay. Heidi said, Cassandra, where's your tiara?
Oh, I forgot in the stress, I got caught up and I forgot my tiara. But everybody, Mrs. Palmer, Big Mama, Bobo, Ben, Emery, thank you. Just wonderful. Honey, the sisters. The other thing that was a challenge for me was that, the novel is, of course, a full cast of people, but we could only have 12 people. At first, our wonderful producer, Joan, said 8 people. 8 is the max. And I'm cramming. I mean, how. And then I called Joan. I said, Joan, we got to do 12 at least. And then to be writing something, and I think, wait a minute, I only have 2 white women actors and 2 white male actors. Okay, so how is that? And that was a challenge, cramming it, and double casting and everything. So, and then, you just like Ben, you can't double cast Ben. You can't double cast Clyde, Emery. So then Bobo, it was on your shoulders to do.
And I don't know if we did the best of that yet. I mean, that's, what I mean? I just was like, let's, and thank you, Colin, who helped get that together. But
yes,
I think that's something when we do the full production, I'll work on how to do that.
Yeah.
As well.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Mr. Dupree. Thank you. Great, good work.
So this is wonderful that our virtual lives are so busy, because some people had to leave, like Ryan had another reading that a colleague of mine is doing. So I love that. This is great. I have another comment. Everybody Wins is their name on YouTube. One of the things that's really provocative is how much you adhere to the style of the period, because the more back then it feels, the more troubling present day feels. Isn't that interesting? That's a great comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we know, we do plays that are historical.
I think
this play, it was a challenge in this play because people talk differently. Yeah. And then they don't talk differently, but there is significant difference. And there's not this, you don't have this common cursing that's become part of our language, and people, it's very, very, when you're enraged, and a man, sometimes a woman, but it's.
Did she go away?
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. But
somebody's texting you, aren't they?
So it was to different kinds of language. Negro was a polite or colored, and all that.
Somebody wanted to know how many plays you've written.
I've written about 20, maybe 25, something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're writing more every day, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sheltering in place, writing.
Somebody wanted to know what was it like to adapt this novel into what was that process like to adapt this novel?
It was really knowing that a novel is exposition. You know, a novel is descriptive. And in this particular novel, there are a lot of speeches, a lot of Union speeches in the second half, of which in the play, there's only that little itty with Gloria. And then there's that itty bit with Ben talking about the housing covenants. But the action, I had to reduce it to, that's why people, if you go to a movie, you go to a play, it's based on a novel, and you can be often like, that's not the, no, it's not, it's different, it's a different thing. So taking out the main action, obviously there has to be an assassination of Palmer. You know, that's main action. And the other thing was that Honey having that nervous breakdown and going to live with Mrs. Palmer. When I read that, I thought, what? I was like, you know, how is that, you know, and then making that real, that has to be in there, you know? And so there's the main action that has to, so you take that out as a playwright, and you know that that's going to be the spine of the play. They have to have the mob, the white mob, when they go to try to buy a house, you know, so that's how you adapt. You pull out what has to be to tell the story that the novelist has told in a different form.
Great, thank you. Somebody wanted to know if you could give more information about the writer of the novel and what their background was relative to this history. Thanks for a terrifically told story. Colin, do you have any more, or Joan, or who has that?
Yeah, Fanny Cook was a resident of University City, Missouri. Her husband taught at WashU. She was really ahead of her time. She was involved in lots of the beginnings of the civil rights movement in St. Louis and actually throughout the state of Missouri. She wrote, I should say, because she obviously is gone from us now. She wrote about 7 novels. This novel got the literary award from the NAACP, the very first literary award that the NAACP awarded. It went, and the novelist is a white woman.
I think that information made Hassie drop her. You said the novelist was a white woman. Hassie was like,
which part?
Do tell.
But you know, I like that this woman wrote this novel and she was ahead of her time. If you read the novel, and then 75 years later, a Black woman writer adapts her novel.
That's right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
So,
it's cool.
Did you have anything else on that, Joan?
Well, that's kind of the short piece. The Missouri Historical Society has a whole kind of biography on Fanny Cook, tells her whole life. She had children. If anybody in the audience or anybody on the screen has any knowledge of her family, we'd love to be in touch. They've just kind of disappeared off the face of the community.
well, my cousin, one of my wonderful cousins, emailed me a photo. She found a photo of Fanny Cook, which I hadn't found. Yeah, and so yeah, this book it may be out of print, actually. I'm not sure.
All of her books are out of print. You get them on Amazon through all of these book publishers or book companies that I guess collect secondhand books and resell them.
Somebody just posted that Fanny Cook was born in 1893 and died in 1949.
That's correct.
We're just gonna have time for a couple of more things. Somebody wanted to applaud the actor who read the stage directions and then helped us to stay true to the writer's vision, which I think is really important in a stage reading. And it's really not a stage reading because we're, it's really important in a virtual reading to have somebody who's telling that story. So thank you, Barry. I'm gonna brag.
Thank you.
There he is. I'm bragging on Barry. He just graduated today from Howard University with his Master of Music. So we're very proud of him. And he was watching his graduation virtually right after our morning rehearsal. So really proud of him. The last thing, let's see, because we got a lot of wonderful glowing remarks. Wonderful bread and roses. Again, moves us to change of ideas and desire for action. Keep on. Somebody else said fierce. So, so I think you all, this was an experiment. It's like, how do you, with very little rehearsal, I've seen some things online that have been great. Delaney produced an event last night for Coca. It was so good. Jackie, who played Honey, it was so good. Jackie, who played Honey, directed one of the pieces, and those pieces were written for Zoom, and then they recorded them, so they were on. It was really well done. So there's all this spectrum of expression that we can have on the internet now. Some that are raw, like this was kind of like we're just gonna try it. Let's read it for the second time and see what comes out. And some things will be more polished. And depending on how long we are in this condition, we might see ourselves doing more of the kind of work that Coca, that Delaney was part of at Coca, where we're recording, where we're writing for the format, because this play is actually quite visual. And I have a lot of ideas. I love chorus stuff. So it's a lot of cool things that can be done movement wise. And we're gonna probably start looking at how do we write for the medium. So anybody else?
Yes, Kathy, before we sign off, I just want to say to the cast, first of all, you were marvelous. And secondly, Cassandra, your writing obviously has touched people in a way that is really quite exquisite. For those who are still watching, and we've got still a pretty good crowd of folks who've stuck with us through this whole conversation, I want to say thank you to those of you who already have sent in donations. I've been getting donations as you've been performing, and I think that's just absolutely outstanding.
And I want to say that these actors donated their time to Bread and Roses.
Yes, they
when
did.
I said that, I'm getting, because I love them. So these are folks that I've known at different walks of life, and I love you all because you just said yes to me. I mean, within a half hour of me sending the email.
Thank you.
And I changed the date and they said yes. So I love y'all.
I'll do anything for you, Miss Kathy.
Anything for you, Kathy.
You already know, sis.
I love y'all. So this is because Bread and Roses is doing good things, y'all. And as Joe knows, Joan's like, look, we always pay people, but sometimes we don't right now. We just need some volunteers, and I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really double that, Kathy.
So unless anybody else has anything else to say, we're gonna wrap it up. Anybody else have anything else?
I just want to again say thank you. I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. So thank you. Bread and Roses signing off.
Okay.
Good night,
y'all.